Good morning. Morning. Happy Friday. We made it to the end of the week. Almost. Almost there. Morning, everybody. I have to share this with y'all. Lucky's cat's just hanging out, watching the stream. Love it. Whoop, wrong one. Good morning to all the kitties and puppies and everyone else who is here this morning. It's not the end of 2026 yet. Yeah, I wish. Good morning to Marquis and Sean of the Yukon and Ange. Good morning to you. I hope you are all doing well. And on Twitch we have Ian Fardoon and Neuropunk. Good morning. Hello, Ninja. Whoop, the Gavin. Yes, my background music. I was testing out. They have a new feature on Blue Sky where you can set when you're live, and then when people click on your profile picture, it takes them straight to your live. So I was in the middle of setting that up. I totally forgot to turn the music on. So thanks to Gavin for turning the music on himself so that I could remember that I didn't turn music on, because I heard that. Good morning, Dragon and Kappa Appa. Yes, study hard, friend. I don't know if you can hear me, but and Aglelix, good morning, and Morgan and Canadian Goose and Tyrion and Olafin. Morning, Lucky. Ninja. Who did I not? Oh, Guernsey is here. Good morning, friend. You're gonna set a time limit to the stream. So I have to pick Kiddo up at 12:20. So I have to be done by 12, whether I want to be or not. But yes, today is day 3, I guess, technically, after my dental surgery, and this morning was a little rough. But I've been up for a while. I've had some pain meds. I've had some breakfast. I have my tea here, so I'm okay for a couple hours. But yes, I'm going to set a time limit. Thank you, Olafin, for taking care of me. I appreciate you. Yeah, it has a very large delay. Morning, Eraspo Atlantic. For those of you that are currently on YouTube, I am somewhat seriously considering not streaming to YouTube anymore, and there are a couple of reasons for that. One is you know, just making sure that my internet can keep up. 2 is that YouTube keeps claiming my videos. And the weird thing is that the copyright claims only apply to provinces and territories. Like, it'll be like, sorry, your video can't be played in the provinces and territories. And I'm like, well, that kind of defeats the entire point of doing a Canadian news channel. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure. It's CBC. It's also I've had a random global clip. I've had what else have I had? Music. Although I contacted the person and they were like, "Yeah, that's not a thing," and canceled it. But yeah, for the like 5 tops people that I have on YouTube, I don't know how much sense it makes to keep streaming to there, what I might do is maybe post the live after. But I don't know. Because you guys on YouTube are also very chatty, and I don't want to take away your ability to be part of the conversation. But you are always welcome on Twitch. But yeah, and I don't know if you guys have seen the requirements to be monetized on YouTube. It is brutal. Let's see here. This is a weird website. Pull up the stats. Yeah, exactly, Ninja. So these are the requirements in order to be monetized whatsoever on YouTube. I need 500 subscribers with 3 public uploads in the last 90 days, which is okay. 3,000 public watch hours or 3 million public shorts views. And that's just for the partner program. This is where you start earning money. You need 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 valid public watch hours or 10 million valid public shorts views in the last 90 days. So I have to somehow rack up 10 million shorts views in 3 months. So it's a little wild. YouTube does not make it easy. I mean, they have a lot of ad revenue goes through YouTube, but anyway. Yeah, it's crazy. It's part of the reason why Steve was able to be monetized on YouTube is that editor Chris was phenomenal. And Steve already had a pretty large following on like TikTok and stuff. So the switch over from TikTok to YouTube Shorts or YouTube Clips was pretty easy. And editor Chris is just a phenomenal human. He's also, I think he already has Rachel Gilmore's channel up and monetized, which is, yeah. Chris is amazing. If y'all ever see him, just let him know that, because he's fantastic. And I hope that one day I can be making enough that I can pay him to help me out, because his work definitely deserves to be paid work. Yes, so many times the YouTube partner reps just disappear and there's no handover. Yep. And they're left without representation for a long time. Yeah, it's a bit of a mess. It got so cold the doorknob for the apartment froze attached to the latch. Oh no. Awesome, Marky. I appreciate you. I'll do a few more streams to YouTube, I think, just so that everyone that's there has a chance to know what's happening. But I think it just makes sense at this point. Maybe one day I can go back when there's a little bit more of a following, but for now I think I'm just gonna stick with what's easier is not even the right word, but which is just such a nicer interface to work with. All right. Keep a de-icer in your backpack. Smart. I've definitely had to take a hairdryer outside, plug it into whatever I had to plug my car in overnight, and blow the hairdryer at the hood of my car to thaw the ice so I could open up the hood and then get it boosted to start. And I've definitely used a hairdryer for door handles of my car as well. Like it's too cold. It is too cold. I saw a very funny video of Doug Ford trying to shovel people out again today, which is something that he likes to do whenever there's a big dump of snow. The guy. Let's see if I can find it. Nope. Not today. Oh, he's so bad at it. Yeah, I also hate winter, Lucky, and every year, I swear, hubby gets closer and closer to moving us to Australia. um, yeah, he hates it. Uh, oh, that's why I can't find it. I'm looking on the wrong website. Melbourne is nice? Yeah. It's not going bye-bye. I'm just it takes up a lot of um bandwidth and keeps claiming my videos and then hiding them only in Canada. Which sort of defeats the purpose. Ah, here we go. I found it. You guys ready to see Doug? We're going to start with a laugh today. Do you guys want to see Doug Ford trying to shovel snow again? I don't know why he keeps doing this. I'm also fairly certain this is from a couple years ago. And yes, it's on X, which is horrific. I never use X, but it's so bad. Like, these people in the background know what they're doing. Why is he shoveling way over here? I don't know why he's using this is a couple years ago. It still makes me laugh. And why is he using a kid's shovel? I don't know. Like why? Like this isn't helpful. You're digging a pit. The tire is going to get out of the snow and go into another pit of snow. Like these guys are doing good work, but like this snow doesn't need to be moved. It's okay. It is an emergency shovel. Yeah. Oh man. I love that that gets posted every time there's a dump of snow though. It makes me giggle. Every single time. All right. I'm gonna start with a story that I actually. Hey, Erasmus Atlantic, thank you for the follow. I don't know why Twitch alert didn't go off for that, but thank you, friend. And welcome to YouTube. Welcome to Twitch. Let me try that again. It's like watching someone sweep with a broom. Kind of. Almost as funny as watching Jason Kenny try to fill up a vehicle with gas. Have you guys seen that video? That one is also horrible. Like, I don't know who taught him how to fill a vehicle up with gas, but it's just like, what is he doing? Someone needs to teach the premiers how to do like, it's not that hard. It's really not that hard. Like, and he struggles with it for so long. Like, I don't know what he tried to do. Yeah, he only goes to the staff served pipes. Yep. Oh yeah, almost as bad as this. I don't know how many of you remember this. Hey, Silver Wyvern. At least you didn't use the diesel pump. Yeah. Yeah, Morgan, that's on the list of things today. Oh, like I just. Oh yeah. I know you guys can't hear it. We're gonna. But like, one more time. Oh, I need to laugh this morning because the world has just gone to pot. But like, oh my goodness, so good. We all need to laugh sometimes. All right. We are gonna start with some news that I haven't actually seen in the Discord yet, which surprises me, and that is that bleh, Stats Canada fired a heck of a lot of people this week. And it sort of got shoved under the rug, and I haven't seen it be mentioned in a whole lot of places. But they laid off or cut 850 jobs. I think census is this year. I think you're right, Guernsey. Yeah. This is from the Ottawa Citizen. Statistics Canada cut 850 jobs in dark time for Public Service Union. They have issued 3,274 workforce adjustment notices, which is never a good combination of words. Yeah, exactly, Ninja. They have begun the process of slashing its workforce by about 850 positions and 12%. Hey, Ross. Oh, my voice. One sec. There we go. Welcome to Twitch, Roswell Atlantic. Thank you, friend, for switching over. I super appreciate you. The Federal Statistics Agency entered its workforce adjustment period Monday and will be informing affected and surplus employees. That's such a weird, like, I don't know how many people to hire, so you hire surplus employees. That's a good way of labeling people as not human beings. Yeah. Statistics Canada remains focused on serving Canadians and adapting to future needs as we move through this period of change. What I think this is, personally, is they're going to be switching a lot of these positions to AI. That would be my guess. In an email, Sean O'Reilly said the notices have been issued to 3,274, including 940 of the union's members. These aren't just abstract cuts from the government balance sheet. These are real jobs, real expertise, and real services at risk. These are the sorts of services you don't see day to day as a Canadian, but it's the things that underpin the important decision making that needs to be done. Yeah, workforce adjustments. It's so brutal. Public Service Alliance of Canada said 350 of its members received letters on Monday. Having hundreds of skilled workers puts the quality, timelines, and reliability of that data at risk. They have not provided a breakdown of what exactly or where they'll be cut. This. Yeah, this is part of the Liberal cuts to public service workers, unfortunately. All right.
Cuts will union leaders are issuing a warning tonight, claiming the latest round of public service cuts will impact services upon which Canadians rely. The latest tonight, we've learned Shared Services Canada is notifying employees there of potential layoffs. And this comes one day after Statistics Canada announced plans to lay off 100 people this week, 850 total over the next 2 years. CTV's Austin Lee is following this for us. Austin, what are you hearing?
Well, Patricia, we still don't know exactly how many people at Shared Services will be impacted. Officials there say they won't share totals until they have finished the process of notifying employees. Meantime, people I spoke with today tell me that job cuts at StatsCan did not come as a surprise.
It's going to affect a lot of people with a lot of families, and I'm worried.
A somber mood at Statistics Canada headquarters Tuesday
So
afternoon.
interesting you say that, Dragon, because that's one of the things that it mentioned in this article. Canadian Association of Professional Employees President Nathan Pryor said the job losses resembled a warmed over rehash of Stephen Harper's anti-data playbook. So, yeah, it does.
One day after workers learned 850 jobs will be cut over the next 2 years.
We got a message from the chief statistician yesterday, kind of breaking down who's going to be affected in a vague way, but we're just waiting for emails and notifications.
Of those 850 job cuts coming, StatsCan says,
I really want to give that guy a hug. I feel so bad. He's trying so hard to keep it together, but what do, right?
100 cuts are coming immediately.
I feel it's a dark day for the public service. I think it's also a dark day
Sean
for
O'Reilly.
Canadians and the data that they rely on from Statistics Canada.
The government agency grew by nearly 2,000 employees between 2019 and 2025 due in part to hundreds of employees from another agency merging with StatsCan in 2023. The fear now is that service will decline.
When they have less people to be able to examine that data, to secure that data, it frightens me that, how reliable is that data going to be?
For its part, StatsCan says it's focused on continuing to deliver data that Canadians rely on.
The chief statistician was very clear in his remarks yesterday that our core mission-critical programs, for example, are key.
Yes, they can have a chief of media relations, but not workers.
Economic indicators will remain as they are. That is a priority for the agency.
But union leaders say the agency is relied upon for more than just key economic indicators.
They might be concentrating on core data, but there's so many things that Statistics Canada does that Canadians don't see. That's very key to our future.
In the meantime, workers are on standby, wondering if they'll have a job in 2 years.
Waiting for those emails and waiting for those messages from our management to let us know which direction they're going.
Another point of frustration for union leaders is what they call a lack of communication from the government. The Public Service Alliance of Canada telling CTV News in a statement, the government still hasn't explained what this workforce adjustment will mean for programs or services, leaving workers in the dark. Patricia.
CTV's Austin Lee reporting live for us tonight. Thank you.
I just find it so awkward when they're in the same building. Yeah, they do need the staff. They absolutely do. Yeah, this is from a couple days later. Yeah. Prime Minister Mark Carney's first budget vowed to slash 16,000 jobs by 2028. More details are expected by the end of the week, including notifying the first 100 employees whose positions are now considered surplus. Morning, Laurel. How are you, friend? Not everyone who receives notice will lose their job, but some could be shuffled into a different one. The government is offering early retirement incentives in an attempt to ease the impact of the job cuts. They always do forced retirement and cutting part-time jobs. Yeah, so that's happening. Yeah, Ninja, I agree. It usually is. Okay, let's cover. Carney is currently in China, discussing some of the Yeah, we're not. Exactly, Neuropunk. Exactly. All right. I have a media brief that he gave after, so we're going to watch that together and enjoy the questioning, because we always do. Don't know why my YouTube is being potato quality, but you know.
All right. Good afternoon. Bonjour tout le monde. C'est un grand
Yeah,
plaisir
exactly,
d'être ici
Lucky.
pour ma première visite en Chine en tant que Premier ministre. Et je tiens tout d'abord à remercier le président Xi Jinping et le Premier ministre Li for and productive 2 days, during which myself and fellow ministers have had the opportunity to meet with President Xi, Premier Li, Chairman Zhao, as well as business leaders across a number of key sectors. And I am very pleased to announce that we have made significant progress in a number of key areas.
Yeah, something something AI is my favorite line of convincing.
Stepping back, it's been 8 years since a Canadian Prime Minister visited China. And in that time, the world has changed dramatically. The technological revolution and the energy transition are accelerating at an unprecedented pace. The global trading system is undergoing a fundamental change, and the effectiveness of multilateral institutions on which trading powers such as Canada and China have greatly relied, that effectiveness has been greatly reduced. This is happening fast, it's large, it's a rupture, it's not.
Oh, you're all good, Neuropunk. I just appreciate you being here regularly. I just appreciate you as a human. I hope that you get the fridge sorted out. That's one of the worst things. We had our fridge die shortly after we moved into the house. Like, all of the appliances when we moved into this house just died shortly after we bought the house. The fridge is the worst by far. I hope that they can get it sorted for you today.
A transition. What we do now as Canada, how we position ourselves in the world, will shape our future for decades to come. Canada can thrive in a new system, but to do so, we must be ambitious. We must work at speed and scale to find new partners, to diversify our trade, and attract unprecedented levels of investment in our country. And we must be pragmatic. That means we have to understand the differences between Canada and other countries, and then focus our efforts to work together where we're aligned. And it's with this approach that Canada is forging a new strategic partnership with China. China is the world's second largest economy. It contributes 1/3 to global growth. It's our second largest trading partner and our third largest investor. Two-way trade between our countries amounts to nearly $120 billion a year. There are 400,000 careers across Canada. Farmers in the prairies, manufacturers and engineers in Ontario and Quebec, fish harvesters in Atlantic Canada and British Columbia, they are all supported by trade with China. $20 billion in wages are earned each year by Canadians because of our existing trade relationship. And this is a relationship that has been distant and uncertain for nearly a decade. That has held back investment.
No, Ninja, I don't know that he can. I mean, for better or for worse, Carney is always going to be the banker, right?
Stalled business growth and cost Canadian workers good opportunities. And it has had the consequence of leaving us even more dependent on our largest trading partner. And that's why immediately after the election, Canada's new government began to recalibrate our relationship with China, strategically, pragmatically, and decisively.
Pragmatically, I think, is Carney's favorite word. Yeah, Morgan's absolutely right, Neuropunk. You're allowed to live in your space. Take care of yourself, friend. I know you've had such a long week with that fridge. I'm so sorry.
Peu après les élections, j'ai d'hommes le président Xi constructive et pragmatique, notamment à travers le scénario des résultats.
Same thing, all
of the,
fussy.
ours is a long-standing relationship. Canada was one of the first Western nations to recognize China in 1970. Over many decades, Chinese Canadians have helped build communities in every part of our country, from dynamic small business.
They were also treated horrifically for a while there, too, in Canada.
Businesses to schools and hospitals,
Hey, Plain Power,
straight
how
through to
are you,
innovation
friend?
across advanced technologies. Partout en Chine, il y a des entreprises canadiennes comme Manuvie, CAE et la Banque de Montréal qui font partie aux rencontrer plusieurs de ces entreprises. De leur part, there are 2 million Canadians of Chinese descent, leaders across commerce, technology, and culture. Mandarin is Canada's fourth most spoken language.
That is true.
There is much to protect in this relationship and much on which to build.
Right, Ninja? Yeah, Morgan and I have... Morgan was a mod for Steve as well. And yeah, she's a good friend. That's my bestie.
And much to be gained. So leveraging our strengths and focusing on areas of alignment, Canada and China can create greater stability, security, and prosperity for both our nations. And to that end, President Xi and I are announcing that Canada and China are forging a new strategic partnership. It will focus on 5 key areas where both our nations stand to make substantial and sustained gains. The first is in clean energy and climate competitiveness, areas where Canada and China have immense strengths and complementary strengths. Second, we're expanding trade, particularly in agriculture and food, where Canada is a reliable partner.
I'm just gonna put this out there for those of you that maybe don't know the history of Chinese Canadians. Thanks, Plain Power. That means a lot. Yeah. I'm just gonna play this. It's sort of a quick overall history of what happened. Also a little loud, so I'm gonna turn that.
This clang would have been familiar to Chinese railroad workers as they worked on the Transcontinental Railroad for 11 or 12 hours a day. 150 years ago, this railroad was the first to connect America's East and West Coast. A journey that previously took 4 months could now be completed in 4 days. This fueled our country's rapid economic growth, making it the world superpower it is today. None of this would have been possible without the 10 to 12,000 Chinese railroad workers who made up 90% of the West's workforce. But you wouldn't know it by looking at this iconic photo taken at its completion in 1869.
Look at that. They're not the ones that built the railroad, folks.
When people think about the transcontinental, that's the photo they think about. That's the narrative the mainstream is trying to push, but you don't see any Chinese workers.
At the Chinese American Museum's new railroad exhibit, another photo taken in 2014 hints at the true story of the past that's been erased. This is a way to reclaim the Chinese heritage.
Reclaim the work and reclaim the country in a way, because sometimes Asian Americans are considered to be the perpetual other, but in fact, they're the ones who built this country and linked the coast together.
Descendants of the Chinese railroad workers are prominently featured at the center of the photograph. And it's not just one photo that erased Chinese workers' contributions to the railroad. They're missing from history textbooks.
I think you might be right, Plain Power. I've heard that as well.
Articles too. Gordon Chang co-directed a project about the Chinese railroad workers at Stanford.
The erasure of the story of Chinese railroad workers from American history textbooks is similar to the neglect or erasure of much of minority history in American life. But there are many other works, both published books as well as magazine articles that mention Chinese hardly at all or neglect them entirely.
Here's another example of how Chinese workers were left out of history. There's a competition about laying the tracks, and Only the recorded names of the 8 Irishmen, but none of the Chinese. So why leave out the Chinese workers from the railroad story for all these years? A lot had to do with the white workers' fears that the Chinese were taking their jobs and working at a cheaper rate.
It's almost like history continuously repeats itself.
At the beginning, they were paid $26 a month, as opposed to European American workers who were paid $40 a month.
So it's half. Despite the huge role Chinese workers played in completing the railroad, the U.S. passed a racist law to ban them from the country just 13 years.
Yeah. Don't use this if you want to be dirt. Yeah. Let's just take a second to take that in. Magic washer beats everything. It's one of the things that I learned about because the man that I knew as my grandfather was indigenous as well as Chinese, so he had some connections to both the Chinese Canadian community as well as the indigenous community.
Years later, the Chinese Exclusion Act was the first law that banned immigration based on race and also deported Chinese workers who were already in the country. The law stoked anti-Chinese sentiment.
Shocker! Exactly like what's happening today, where Trump has a list of specific countries that people are not allowed to immigrate from,
leading to violence against the community.
So the anti-Chinese sentiment that arose in the 1870s and 1880s resulted in...
I believe this is the American version. It is taught in Canada. I know that I learned about it for sure. Hey, Troll, how are you, friend?
Also their erasure from the written history of the country.
The exhibit aims to correct the narrative, starting with its title, The Chinese Helped Build the Railroad Helped Build America. Why is it important to capture the life of a Chinese worker, whether it's the food or the place that they sleep in?
I feel like when people at the time talk about railroad workers, they also talked about how efficient they are or how good a worker they are.
Yes, the Heritage Minutes video I have queued up to play next. Yeah. Almost bedtime for you, Troll. Are you overseas? Are you in the UK? Or are you also North American? I can't remember.
Almost like product review as opposed to how great a people they are. So this is a way for us to humanize them.
Railroad work is tough and dangerous. Workers battled severe weather conditions, used explosives, carried heavy hand tools for miles. Hundreds died. And yet, Chinese workers were treated differently in pay, housing, and working conditions.
How Chinese railroad workers were segregated from European American workers. Train cars are actually modified dorms for European American workers. Whereas if you are Chinese, you are living in tents. It's not always the case. In winter, they have some more permanent situations. It is important to Chinese American history, but it's also important to American history because Chinese American history is American history. It's really important for Asian Americans to feel proud of their heritage and their contribution to the nation.
Yeah. All right. Guernsey posted a link. The Forgotten Canadian History of the Chinese Labor Corps. We'll read that through, but I do want to look at the Heritage Minutes.
All right, who wants to earn some danger pay? Boat fare for the white. All you have to do is go down in the tunnel with the nitro and set the charge.
And my wife, you pay both? Okay, I do very good. You see.
Now pour it in the hole gently, understand? Any little bump and that stuff will blow.
Damn it, that's the third one we lost this month. Cochran, get another volunteer.
I went back in again, but I lost many friends. They say there is one dead Chinese man
There it is.
for every mile of that track. That's what they say.
Yeah. If you want to read more about it, there is a book by Daniel Black called Harry Livingstone's Forgotten Men, Canadians and the Chinese Labor Corps in the First World War. In 1916, the British government worked out a deal with China to recruit laborers to serve in non-combatant roles in the war. They decided the safest way to get them into France was to send them on ships across the North Pacific, Vancouver, and then Atlantic to France. And the Canadian government would keep a mission involving 81,000 people a secret. It might seem surprising, but Black said there was a number of reasons they kept it under wraps, and not the least of which was discrimination. 100 years ago, Canada was not a welcoming place for the Chinese immigration. At the time, the Canadian government applied a $500 head tax to any Chinese person coming to Canada. The government had waived the tax for these laborers, something they didn't want the Canadian public to know, given the sentiment of the time. So they allowed them in if they were going to come and work, but not otherwise. Thousands of men from the Chinese Labor Corps died on the Western Front or on the journey to and from, and they deserve very little recognition. A giant canvas exhibited in Paris at the end of the war, depicting France surrounded by its allies, actually painted over the Chinese workers. The painting, started in 1914, initially included China. That section was painted over to include the United States after the Americans joined the war. In 1919, at the Paris Peace Conference, the Allies broke a promise to return complete control of China's Shandong province from Japan to China, and China refused to sign the treaty. The men who survived returned home to a country in hardship. There was drought and famine, and there was warlordism going on. And the money that they had earned on their contracts had been devalued. Yeah. More reports of their work emerged, and in the UK, a group has started a campaign petitioning the British government to erect a national memorial. Last month in Canada, so when was this published? 2019. A memorial was held on Vancouver Island for 21 previously unidentified laborers who died. This Remembrance Day, Black is thinking in particular about one young man who was buried at Garrison Petawawa in Ontario. His name was Chu Ming Shan, and he died of malaria on a train to France. This past summer, 102 years later, the Commonwealth War Graves Commission installed a headstone for him, and Black assisted with a wreath-laying ceremony for his grave last month. So yeah. That's, anyway, that is the history of Chinese-Canadian relations in the last couple hundred years. I don't personally know a lot of the sort of history of China in the last, couple decades, as far as whether or not this is a good idea, but just found the book. Awesome. But yeah, here we go.
Third, our commitment to multilateralism and strengthening global governance comes at a time when all of this is in flux. Fourth, we're deepening engagement in public safety and security to protect our peoples. And finally, people-to-people ties and culture are being enhanced to enrich our lives. To begin, we're leveraging our strengths in energy, clean tech, and climate competitiveness. Canada is an energy superpower in both conventional and clean energies. We have an over 80% clean electricity grid with vast potential to power the clean economy of the future. La Chine est le leader mondial toute dans le stockage pour investir. China is
not gonna lie, guys, I'm definitely starting to teach myself a little bit more French because I want to be able to interpret this a little better.
Strengths in electric vehicle sector are undeniable. China
It
produces
is,
some
Morgan.
of the most affordable and efficient energy efficient vehicles in the world. And in order for Canada to build our own competitive EV sector, we need to learn from innovative partners, access their supply chains, and increase local demand. And to help deliver the full potential of these partnerships and bring down costs for Canadians, Canada has agreed to allow up to 49,000 Chinese electric vehicles into the Canadian market, with the most favored nation tariff rate of 6.1%. This is a return to the levels that existed prior to recent trade frictions. But it's a return under an agreement that promises
Exactly, Guernsey.
much
That's
more
really
for
why I'm
Canadians.
doing it.
It's expected that within 3 years, this agreement will drive considerable Chinese investment in Canada's auto sector, creating good careers in Canada and accelerating our progress towards a net zero future and the auto industry of the future. With this agreement, it's also anticipated that within 5 years, more than 50% of these vehicles will be affordable EVs with an import price of less than $35,000. Over the next 15 years, Canada intends to double our energy grid through major investments in hydro, nuclear, solar, and wind power. That creates tremendous opportunities for Chinese partnerships in these investments, including in energy storage and offshore wind. On the other hand, Canada is developing our oil and natural gas reserves, one of the world's
Right,
largest,
Aeropunk?
to be the lowest risk, lowest cost, and lowest carbon. Last June, we exported our first LNG shipment to Asia, and we're scaling up quickly, making major investments in streamlining approvals. By 2030, Canada will produce 50 million tons of LNG each year, all of which will be destined for Asian markets. Au cours des semaines et des mois qui viennent, nous lancerons un nouveau dialogue ministériel pour accélérer up aims to increase trade directly between Canada and China. Our agricultural cooperation.
This is another big one. Between the farmers, specifically of canola. I'm just reading an update. It says China has agreed to drop the high duties on Canadian canola and remove tariffs on some of our biggest exports like lobsters, crabs, and peas.
Built the foundation of our bilateral relationship. For more than 6 decades, Canada has been a reliable partner for China in food exports. Canadians export more than $7 billion in agricultural products to China each year. China used to be the largest market for Canadian canola seed. We want to not just return to those levels, but to surpass them. And so I'm pleased today to announce that Canada and China have reached a preliminary but landmark trade agreement to remove trade barriers and reduce tariffs. By March the 1st, Canada expects that China will lower tariffs on Canadian canola seed to a combined rate of approximately 15%. China is a 4 billion canola seed market for Canadian producers, and this change represents a significant drop from the current combined tariff levels of 84%.
Oof.
Furthermore, Canada expects that Canadian canola meal, as well as Canadian lobsters, crabs, and peas, will not be subject to relevant anti-discrimination tariffs from March 1st of this year until at least the end of this year. Together, these results will unlock nearly $3 billion of export orders for Canadian farmers, fish harvesters, and processors as they realize the full potential of this market of 1.4 billion people. With this agreement, we also expect to see a resolution of many long-term obstacles for a range of important agricultural sectors, from beef to pet food. Le Canada a un but ambitieux.
So my hubby works a not super great job. Oh, my doorbell rang. Give me 2 seconds. Okay, doggy. Yes.
Augmenter nos exports vers la Chine de 50% d'ici 2030. Soutenus par une nouvelle feuille de route commerciale, nous élargirons également les investissements canadiens en Chine dans des domaines comme les services, l'énergie, l'aérospatiale, l'agriculture et la fabrication de pointe. We welcome Chinese business plans to significantly scale up their investment in Canada, in major clean energy projects, as well as in agriculture and consumer projects. And by building this new strategic partnership, we're creating the stability and certainty needed to catalyze new investment and opportunities for Canadian workers. Both Canada and China are strong advocates of multilateralism. Nous partageons plusieurs objectifs en ce qui a trait à l'environnement. Le leadership du Canada et de la Chine a permis de créer avec succès le cadre mondial pour la biodiversité économique mondiale lors de la COP 15 à Montréal. C'est pourquoi le troisième pilier de notre partenariat stratégique a un engagement renouvelé envers la gouvernance mondiale. En collaborant davantage, le Canada et la Chine peuvent se concentrer sur les nombreux domaines d'intérêt commun, allant de la compétitivité climatique et des finances à la stabilité macroéconomique et au multilatéralisme.
Okay. 2 very large packages for our tenant downstairs. Had to run them both down there. Here we go.
China will be the host of APEC this year, and Canada stands ready to support their agenda, focused on strengthening
None for me, Morgan.
and reinvigorating the multilateral system. Canada appreciates China's support for our bid to host the APEC's Leaders Summit in 2029. The fourth pillar of our new strategic partnership is public safety and security.
Here we
And
go.
this is an area where pragmatic and constructive engagement with China is crucial. Through this pillar, our law enforcement agencies will increase cooperation to better combat narcotics trafficking, transnational crime, cybercrime, synthetic drugs, and money laundering. And we will create safer communities for people in both our countries.
Y'all remember when Huawei phones started being a thing? And everyone was like, you can't have a Huawei phone. The Chinese are listening to everything you say. You think they weren't doing that before? Yeah, exactly, Currency. Exactly.
Finally, people have always been at the core of this relationship. As I said, Canada is home to a Chinese diaspora of 2 million. Over 300,000 Chinese visitors came to Canada in 2024. China is Canada's 7th largest source of tourism. So the fifth pillar of this partnership will build on opportunities for cultural exchanges and partnerships that further deepen our people-to-people ties. That means museums, digital content creators, visual artists, and other creators.
Interesting. Canadian content creators don't get paid by certain Chinese companies, so maybe that will change.
Creative professionals in our respective countries will have new opportunities to collaborate. It also means more tourism, including following China's decision in November to grant approved destination status for group travelers to Canada. And we're building on this progress, looking to increase travel, exchange, and deepen our cultural ties. I'm very pleased to share that President Xi in our meeting today has committed to ensuring visa-free access for Canadians traveling to China.
Okay, that's
Nous ne
huge.
faisons aucune illusion. In history's different perspectives. Yet, we have much in common. And when we focus on our strengths and we focus our ambition towards those areas where we have the most in common, Canada and China have done great things.
Well,
in the mid-1980s, our bilateral trade was roughly $2 billion. In just 2 decades, that increased to $30 billion. Through periods of global tension and disruption, we've created more opportunities for our workers, businesses, and investors by working together. And with this new strategic partnership, that's the opportunity before us now. It's a partnership that reflects the world as it is today, with an engagement that's realistic, respectful, and interest-based. The work in the recent months, the discussions and the meetings over the past 2 days have not been a question of putting things back on track. It's been more a question of designing new tracks that will benefit the people of both
I don't love that he's using the word tracks for this.
Our countries. Parce que le système mondial a été dans le pragmatisme et ambition. In a world of increasing uncertainty, Canada is building with speed, confidence, and determination. We're forging new partnerships around the world. We're diversifying trade. Over a dozen new agreements across 4 continents in recent months. We're attracting record levels of new investment in order to unleash $1 trillion of investment in the Canadian economy over the next 5 years. We're building a web of new connections with China to create transformative opportunities for Canadian workers, build more stability, more certainty, and prosperity on both sides of the Pacific. And with that, I very much look forward to your questions. Thank you very much. Merci
Thank you,
beaucoup.
Prime Minister. Merci. Nous allons maintenant passer à la période de questions. First question, Tonda. We'll do one question, one follow-up.
Tonda McCharles, Toronto Star, right here, Prime Minister, right here.
Where are you? Ah, there you are. Sorry.
Hi.
In plain sight. Sorry.
We're so many reporters here, so it'll be one question. We won't take follow-ups, but please bear with us. Prime Minister, this announcement I'd like you to characterize it in terms of how big an entry into the market you expect it really is, and how do you intend to explain it to the U.S.
Very
in
good
allowing
question.
that entry, and separately, how do you intend to explain it to Canadian car makers who feel?
I'm only going to allow one question, but I'll ask you two. Twitter is down. Huh.
Hear any softening on Chinese EVs?
Okay, so you mean the auto portion of the broader partner? Yes, okay. So I think the first thing to say is exactly that it's part of a broader partnership, and the fundamental issue is we have a broader strategic partnership on which to build and create big opportunity. But to get to the auto question and your various questions around specifically, let's put this in context.
Yeah, it is
49,000 vehicles, which is the cap on Chinese electric vehicle exports to Canada.
Yeah, exactly,
That's part of
Guernsey.
this agreement. That's a return to levels last seen in 2023, the last full year before the Canadian tariff actions. That's first point. Second point, again, to put it in, dimension it, that's less than 3% of the size of the Canadian auto market. The third point, to put in context, and I referenced this, is that part of this agreement, and
Yeah, this is beautiful.
it takes a few years to build this, a couple of years to build this, that a portion, an increasing portion of those exports will be in a new segment of the Canadian market. In other words, electric vehicles that cost less than $35,000 at the landed price. So there's huge opportunity here to get more affordable cars in the electric vehicle market for Canada. The fourth element, and in many respects the most important element, is the beginning of discussions and expectation of Chinese investment in Canada and partnership in Canada to produce vehicles over time, so to partner with Canadian firms. And putting all this, and if I can take the last part of your question, then move to colleagues, which is vis-a-vis the U.S., I think we need to look at this in the context of building. I mean, we're building
Yeah, that's fair, Guernsey.
a new part of our car industry, building cars of the future in partnership, bringing affordable autos for Canadians at a time when affordability is top of mind, and doing it at a scale that allows for a smooth transition in the sector. Thanks.
Next question, Steve.
Steve Chase, Globe and Mail. Good afternoon. This week, 2 Liberal MPs cut short their visit to Taiwan. It was a friendship and outreach visit. They cut it short before they were going to meet with President William Lai. They said in a statement that they were advised to do this by the government. So why did the government advise these two Liberal MPs to cut short their visit? And is this an indication we're willing to tailor our foreign policy to placate Beijing?
Well, a couple of things. One is our policy with respect to Taiwan, our One China policy, which was set in 1970, has not changed. We're reaffirming our One China policy. It remains constant. It's consistent. We have relations with the government here, People's Republic of China, and we have people-to-people relations in Taiwan. Those MPs, members of my caucus and members of our caucus, participated in the people-to-people proportion of that trip, but no, not in the government proportion. And that's straightforward, not causing confusion about what the policy is of the government, the policy of Canada that has been the policy of Liberal governments and the policy of Conservative governments over the course of the last 55 years.
Prochaine question, Laurence.
Oui, bonjour, M. Carney, Laurence Martin de Radio-Canada. Dans la stratégie Indo-Pacifique, le Canada décrivait la choix.
Des grandes puissances. Alors, mon avis, madame.
Good afternoon, Prime Minister. Less than a year ago, you said that China was the biggest security threat to Canada. Do you still believe that?
The security landscape continues to change. And in a world that's more dangerous and divided, we face many threats. That's the reality. And the job, my responsibilities as Prime Minister, the job of the government, is to manage.
For those that don't know, he referenced something called the One China policy. And this is the diplomatic acknowledgement of China's position that there is only one Chinese government. Under the policy, the U.S. recognizes and has formal ties with China, rather than the island of Taiwan, which China sees as a breakaway province to be unified with the mainland one day. That's what he was referencing there.
Those threats. You manage those threats by building resilience, building security. You manage those threats through alliances. You manage those threats through engagement, and we're pursuing all of those. And I would say that, the threat environment has increased. The risks have multiplied. So too has our resilience and our engagement, which is protecting Canadians on balance.
But is that threat from China still exist?
Oh.
I'll refer to my previous answer.
Next question, Martina.
Prime Minister Martina Stavis, New York Times. After your visit, is it fair to say that you're concluding that China is a more predictable and maybe reliable partner to Canada than the United States is today?
Yes. The answer is yes.
Well, let me answer it. I'm going to answer it directly with respect to the relations with China and our engagement with China. And I will say that from the first conversation I had with Premier Lee, telephone conversation, then the meeting in New York, the long meeting with President Xi in Korea, and then the meetings over the course of the last few days. There are a number of specific issues, and I've outlined them that where we've made progress in our strategic partnership. But we spent a fair bit of time in all of those meetings about the guardrails, if you will, of the relationship, where we felt we could cooperate, where we had differences of opinion, where we had differences of view in the system, respecting each other's differences in the system. And that sort of candid and consistent dialogue, frank dialogue, that leads to a more predictable and effective relationship.
I mean, the ability to have a dialogue is a huge part of the process, right?
Our relationship, the one comparison I will give you with the United States, our relationship, this is no insight, is much more multifaceted, much deeper, much broader than it is with China. But yes, in terms of the way that our relationship has progressed in recent months with China, it is more predictable, and you see results coming from that.
Est-ce qu'en
Next question.
La prévisibilité.
That was a very, very careful way of answering that, and I can appreciate that. I mean, Trump is currently looking for any and all reasons to be angry at other countries. Yeah, exactly.
Coopération, d'autres.
Bonjour, Monsieur Carney.
Bonjour, madame.
Mylène Crête de la presse. Je voulais savoir qu'est-ce que vous allez répondre à Doug Ford qui voulait une usine en échange de l'ouverture.
I wish the Doug Ford question was in English, but let's see if I can catch some of it because the grin on his face says everything.
Du marché canadien aux véhicules électriques chinois. Et pourquoi est-ce que les tarifs sur le port sont demeurés les mêmes?
Les tarifs, pardon, le deuxième.
Le port. Pork.
Ils sont les mêmes. Je crois que je vais fournir une réponse de la deuxième partie après. Mais ce qui est clair, et on a fait beaucoup de progrès dans les produits agriculture et on a fait beaucoup de progrès et
somehow I don't think he said Facebook.
Nous attendons qu'il y ait plus de réduction des tarifs agriculture pendant l'année. OK? Premier point. Deuxième point. En ce qui concerne Monsieur le Premier.
Basically, yeah, there's some issues, but it's going to be better in the long run. And Doug Ford.
Nous deux, nous voulons bâtir une nouvelle industrie automobile. OK? Alors, c'est quoi l'avenir de l'industrie automobile? C'est des véhicules électriques et des véhicules avec beaucoup de technologie et d'abordabilité. Les trois choses. OK? Il y a plusieurs entreprises qui peuvent fournir les engagements intelligents, accords industrie.
L'usine, ça, éventuellement?
Oui, ça c'est le plan. Ça, c'est le plan, absolument.
Annie?
Hello, Prime Minister Carney. CSIS has called China an enduring threat to Canadian tech and democracy, and some in the auto sector have said that Chinese EVs could pose a national security risk if allowed into Canada. And your plan is to increase the number of those EVs that are coming into Canada every year. Did you get any assurances from President Xi that China would stay out of elections, for example, and sensitive sectors before allowing more Chinese investment in many sectors, including the auto sector?
So, several aspects. Thank you for the question. Several aspects of what you said. The first is, and I'm going to refer to something I said a few minutes ago, which is we're returning to the levels of Chinese automobiles as a cap that we had 2 years ago. Okay. Secondly, just to reinforce, that's less than 3% of the Canadian auto sector. So again, let's keep that keep it in perspective.
And that's going up by 6.5% every year after.
Yeah. Again, but you bring that you compound that growth, and you're getting to about 70,000 vehicles at year 5, although the agreement has it reviewed after year 3. So again, it's still in low single-digit proportion of the size of the Canadian auto sector. Canadians buy about 1.8 million autos a year, just to put it in context. The second thing, but you asked, you had autos mentioned, but then you asked, if I may, a deeper question around our relations, and as you said, foreign interference, transnational aspects. First thing I'd say is that part of the agreement includes a security aspect, a greater cooperation between law enforcement on a series of cross-border crime issues. That's the kind of progress we need.
I'm super curious about all of these relationships and cooperation around crime and stuff that they're going to build with China.
in order to address a range of issues, including illicit narcotics, but as well as interference. And then the second is that we have an understanding. These are some of the issues that we discuss in terms of our expectations in Canada, our red lines in terms
Our expectations are that you're not going to interfere in our elections anymore.
of preventing foreign interference, not tolerating foreign interference, and addressing it when we see it. And as Prime Minister, I've always taken this extremely seriously, just from the point when I got my security clearance well before I was elected leader of the Liberal
Security clearance mentioned.
Party. Thank you.
Next question, Christopher.
Good afternoon, Prime Minister. Christopher Nard from the National Post. Canola tariffs are not completely disappearing, and more importantly, they're not disappearing on all products either. What do you say to the industry who is hoping, obviously, for progress on this, but will still be dealing with tariffs going forward in their second biggest export market?
This is enormous progress. The first thing is this is enormous progress. We're dropping the expectation starting from March 1st, so in advance of planting, we're seeing canola tariffs. We fully expect canola tariffs to drop from 85% to a combined 15%. Approximately 15%. I'll use the exact language in the agreement, but we have a high degree of confidence that that's going to happen, and that's going to create an opportunity combined between meal and seed, a $7 billion market opportunity. That's the first point. The second is that the spirit of this agreement. So there's agreements and technical aspects of the agreement and expecting those to be followed. That's important. But it's also the spirit of what is a new partnership, a new era, turning the corner, historic agreement, building more broadly. That creates a series of expectations about where we're going from here, whether it's in canola, other grains, pulses, lobster, beef, pork, pet food, all these covered. So there's movement, and there's a real, it's a return, and actually more than a return, to Canada as an important agriculture partner with China.
Next question, Brian.
Prime Minister Brian Platt with Bloomberg News. Yesterday when you met with Premier Lee, one of the things you said in the public remarks was this partnership with Canada and China, this new partnership, sets us up well for the new world order. What did you mean by that? What is the new world order?
Well, it's a great question, Brian, because I think the world is still determining what that order is going to be. And let's be clear what we're talking about first and foremost, which is what is going to govern global trade? What is the role of the WTO going to be? How important are bilateral deals such as the one we're developing, plurilateral deals, if I can use that term, Trans-Pacific Partnership, the potential linkages between Trans-Pacific Partnership and the EU? Where is financial regulation, payment system regulation going to fit into that? All of these aspects, I mean, use a fancy word, like the architecture, the multilateral system that has been developing these is being eroded, to use a polite term, undercut, use another term. So the question is, what gets built in that place? How much of a patchwork is it? How much is it just on a bilateral basis? Or where do like-minded countries in certain areas? So like-minded countries, just to be clear, doesn't mean you agree on everything. Aspects, for example, on digital trade or agricultural trade, climate finance as another area, to move into areas of geostrategy, geosecurity. You will have different coalitions that are formed. So what this partnership does is in areas, for example, of clean energy, conventional energy, agriculture, as we were just talking about, and financial services, which we've talked less about.
Financial services is another one that I'm like, I don't know about that. I don't know about that one.
But the evolution of the global financial system, the role of the renminbi over time, the evolution of cross-border payments.
Yeah,
I know it all
exactly.
sounds very dry, except for your organization, which I think takes an interest in it. These are important elements of how the system's going to work. And look, the expectation is that rather than these being developed necessarily through the IMF, WTO, and other multilateral organizations, it is going to be coalitions that develop them not for the world, but for subsectors of the world.
Interesting. So not going through big organized world organizations, but just little agreements between countries. I mean, you get through a lot of the difficulties of making those agreements that way. But yeah, I want more details on Chinese influence on our financial sector. That's a little odd to me.
Next question, Tom.
Hi, Prime Minister Tom Perry with CBC. I know that you're talking about China offering stability. There are still, of course, though, concerns in this country about human rights, about freedom of expression. I'm wondering where those fit into your calculations. Are these things that Canada just can't afford?
Excellent question. I was told the WEF was in charge.
To think about because we've got to diversify our markets.
No, we fundamentally stand up for human rights. We stand up for democracy, territorial integrity, rights to self-determination. We take the world as it is, not as we wish it to be.
Interesting way of responding. We take the world as it is and not as we wish it to be. I don't know. What do you guys think of that? What are your opinions on that? Because it seems like he's saying, look, we get that these people are not perfect and that they're, their opinions on human rights are not the same as Canadian ones, but we do still need to build trade relations. Because there are human rights concerns with China, and there are also free speech concerns, obviously. Yeah, that's a tough one. That's very fair, Guernsey. I think that's the answer for it, is that there's no ethical trade deals under capitalism. I think you're right. I mean, like I said, I appreciate, like Neuropunk said, I appreciate that he's being honest about it. Still don't love it. Yeah, it's very Machiavellian to me in subtext. It is, yep. Yeah. But I mean, when your options are China and the US, which one is committing worse human rights violations? Genuinely. Right? And they certainly haven't said or done anything about that as far as Carney's response to ICE and all of these horrific things that are happening in the States. Yeah, I don't know.
That means the following. We do engage with countries.
Fair,
we calibrate that engagement depending on our values and our interests, so that engagement is more narrow.
See, and the values versus interest thing is also a thing. Yeah, Rachel should be alive for another. Yes, exactly. You can't possibly try to influence them to see your point of view if you isolate yourself from them. And I like that we proactively work towards how we wish it would be. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I did know that Rachel, I think she has Ave Lewis on today, right? Yeah. But she does. Oh, good. I'm glad.
When there are those issues, we also have, if you will, a sort of value-based realism to the approach. In other words, We will engage on those issues. We'll engage with coalitions on those issues
That'll work perfectly. Then I can raid y'all out and y'all can go watch Rachel interview Ave Lewis.
because that has more influence.
When this is done.
And we will form coalitions.
I have to leave at noon,
with those
so that works
countries with which we share those broader values. I will give you a current example of the last point, which is we are a member, as you know, of the Coalition of the Willing to back Ukraine. And that is an example. Those countries in that coalition, over 30 countries, share values on a broad range, including all of those that I just mentioned. With other countries, our engagement is more narrow, it's more specific, and we keep within those guardrails. And for those relationships, we're very clear about where we will cooperate, where we differ. We'll have those engagements, but in a way that looks to make progress.
Could I just ask you a follow-up, sir? Like in your meetings over the last couple of days, did any of these issues come up?
Yes. Yes.
Could you be a little more
that was your follow-up.
I guess so. How did you discuss that in your?
We're going to move on to the next question.
How did you discuss that in your questions?
We're going to move to the next question right after le français. Oui.
En français, oui, on a eu des discussions sur des sujets des droits humains, oui.
Next question, Maria.
Thanks, Maria Chang from
That guy's not happy. You can hear him in the background still.
Can you tell us specifically how you raised these concerns about
Good.
human rights?
Keep asking.
Did you address the issue of things like Jimmy Lai, concerns about Taiwan, violations of human rights in China in your discussions with President Xi?
Well, a couple of things. One is with respect to Mr. Lai, Canada led a G7 statement in the course of recent weeks calling for his humanitarian release, the foreign minister's statement. These issues were raised in our broader discussions over the past few days. With respect to One China and Taiwan and expectations, our long-standing policy, I think I answered this earlier, but just to be clear that we had a clear exchange in terms of what our policy is and a reaffirmation of, as I say, our long-standing policy. We have different systems.
Which is what?
Take a step back.
It's great to say you have a long-standing policy, but what is it?
We have different systems, Canada and China. That has several consequences, one of which is the breadth of our engagement with China. We respect the differences in each other's systems. It does mean that our cooperation is more focused and more limited, but to have the effective relationship, we have the direct conversations. We don't grab a megaphone and have the conversations that way.
And we'll have time for one last question, Kyle. Or David.
Thanks, Gail. David Aiken, Global News. Good afternoon, Prime Minister. I can shove to the front here. I'd like to know what Canada is doing to protect the integrity of Greenland, and related.
Okay. You really want Mark Crane to talk about the weeds of policy? You can talk about it.
China fashions itself a near Arctic power.
Do we? What? Neuropunk? Sorry, I missed the question. Happy to see the Chinese EV tariffs cut. We don't make cars in Canada anyways. Those are trash EVs.
And with some claims
also,
to
welcome,
Arctic
Logos
resources. So I wonder if you could answer that question. What we're doing to help protect Greenland's integrity, and how do you feel about
I do want to hear his answer about Greenland, and then we're going to move on.
China's claims, such as they are to Arctic resources?
Well, several aspects of that. The first, with respect to Greenland, the future of Greenland is a decision for Greenland and for the Kingdom of Denmark. We are NATO partners with Denmark, and so our full partnership stands. Our obligations on Article 5, Article 2.
I see. Yeah, that's fair, Neuropunk. Do we actually respect the way that they do things? Yeah, that's a fair question.
Of NATO stand, and we stand full square behind those. Thirdly, with respect to our relations with Greenland, as you know, we've opened our consulate. As you may know, The Governor General is visiting with the Minister of Foreign Affairs. There she is. No rest for you. Going to Nuuk in the first week of February. We'll be there. We're in discussions with our NATO partners and with Denmark about Arctic security through various fora, through bilaterally with Greenland and very much with Denmark, through the Nordic countries, Nordic Baltic 8, and as you know, just remind others that we've taken decisive steps in terms of Arctic security.
Maybe just remind others.
Over the course of this year, one of the first things
stop
that
asking
I
me.
did as Prime Minister was to move our Arctic presence from 4 months a year to 365 days a year on land, sea, and in air, and we will continue to reinforce that. I will say that I had discussions with President Xi about the situation in Greenland, about our sovereignty in the Arctic, about the sovereignty of the people of Greenland and the people of Denmark, and I found much alignment of views in that regard. En ce qui concerne le Groenland, alors, en ce qui concerne le président Xi ou la position canadienne en ce qui concerne le Groenland, c'est l'avenir de Groenland est une décision pour le Groenland et Danemark. OK, premier point. Deuxième point, nous sommes des alliés. Nous sommes des alliés dans l'OTAN et le Canada est ferme, est clair. Nous avons des obligations, des engagements comme un partenaire dans comme un allié dans l'OTAN par rapport au Groenland et le Danemark. Et nous allons respecter nos engagements.
Yeah, Ninja, that's fair. He does a lot of and
okay.
ums.
C'était la même. Peut-être ça suffit.
Merci.
C'était la même. Non, c'est une courte transaction. We respect our obligations and our responsibilities in NATO, and we expect all NATO partners to do the same.
Thank you. This puts an entire press conference. C'est ce qui m'a fait notre conférence.
That would be a question for Laurel, if they're still here. To me, it sounds like his French has improved, but I only catch a small amount. There you all are. If anyone knows a career I could drop into and not lose income, I'd love to know before April. Yeah. Okay. Let's take a look, because somebody did ask him about the angry response vis-a-vis Doug Ford. Ford is not happy about this relationship with China. He is quite upset about it and has made his opinion known in many, many ways. Oh, good glory, I keep doing that. I'm so sorry for your ears. Yeah, boohoo. Make no mistake, China now has a foothold in the Canadian market and will use it to their full advantage at the expense of Canadian workers. I'll take Doug Ford job if you want to do a peaceful coup, hypothetically. He does. He does indeed suck. The federal government is inviting a flood of cheap, made-in-China electric vehicles. Okay. Without any real guarantee of equal or immediate investment in Canada's economy, auto, or supply chain. No. They took tariffs off of agricultural stuff. It really doesn't, Guernsey, you're correct. Worse, by lowering tariffs on electric vehicles, this lopsided deal risks closing the door on Canadian automakers to the American market. It really doesn't. Yeah, that's fair, Silver Wyvern. Oh man, Lucky, I don't even know. To fix this mess, Prime Minister Carney and the federal government need to urgently step up and support Ontario's auto sector. That means making the sector more competitive by ending the electric vehicle mandate, harmonizing regulation with key trading partners, and scrapping federal fees. Blah, blah, blah. So does he want them to only talk with the states? Like, is China not the leading country as far as electric vehicle technology? Am I wrong? Whether farmers or auto workers, Canadians expect and deserve a federal government that gives them every shot at success. I'm urging PMC to work with Ontario to strengthen Canada's auto industry, not weaken it. Didn't the first... Yeah, they did, Guernsey. Oh, this one doesn't want to load. Scott Moe is somebody that also spoke, I believe he was in China recently, specifically about canola tariffs. Today's trade deal to significantly reduce Chinese tariffs on canola and other Canadian products is very good news for Canada and Saskatchewan. This deal is a positive signal that will restore existing trade volumes and open avenues for further opportunities. First year in office, Dofo cut the $8,000 rebate for the province when you bought an EV. Oh, yeah, that's right, Elemental. That's right. Today demonstrates the importance of foreign trade missions and shows what can be achieved when the federal and provincial governments and our export industries work together. I mean, Scott Moe is you, but I think removing the tariffs on the canola is a good thing for them. Of course, Merritt Stiles, who is the Liberal leader, is that correct? Or she? I think she's Liberal leader in Ontario. And again, this is what I was trying to configure this morning. Is Blue Sky now has a live thingy? NDP. That's what I thought. I was like, hold on, I'm saying Liberal. That does not sound right. Yeah, he absolutely did. He denied construction and development for EV charging stations. So it's a little silly that now he cares. If fighting for Ontario auto workers wasn't important enough for Doug Ford to go to Beijing, what was? Good question. Scott Moe flew to China for Saskatchewan. Doug Ford stayed at home while Mark Carney negotiated our auto sector's future, with no one at the table negotiating for Ontario workers. Crombie was the Liberal leader. That's what I'm getting mixed up, is between Merritt Stiles and Crombie. Yeah, very good point. I mean, Scott Moe flew to China in order to put in requests for Saskatchewan canola. And Doug Ford couldn't be bothered if he cares so much about electric vehicles. Our auto workers deserve better than an empty chair and better than Doug Ford's jobs disaster. Which is fair. Oh, let me be clear. Mark Carney is selling out our auto sector. China gets 49,000 guaranteed vehicle sales. Ontario workers get expected investment in 3 years. Our workers deserve guarantees. You don't protect an industry with maybes. That's fair. That's fair. No, he absolutely didn't want to leave Muskoka. Why would he do that? We're not going to watch all of this, but
Michigan aren't used to seeing as many folks here. But first of all, I want to thank our state representatives.
Yes, he does, Elemental.
Tom Coons, right there. On everybody, Ontario companies that are based down in Michigan, 110 Michigan, American, Canadian. I always believe in you can't unscramble an egg. You have to make the omelet larger.
And other things. Are you worried about that?
I'm good up to with an talk. But similar to Ontario, Michigan isn't just auto, it's very, very important.
That green suit is fire. That is an excellent suit. Yeah, exactly, Guernsey. How do you save the auto industry now outside of continuing to push for more oil and more gas-powered vehicles, which are not the way of the future? Ontario companies, yeah. Let's go back. I'll let y'all listen. It's only a minute before he gets into it.
See, my friends from Michigan aren't used to seeing as many folks here. But first of all, I want to thank our state representatives, Tom Coons, right there, champion.
Yeah, blue suit, blue suit, blue suit. white guy in a blue suit, white guy in a blue suit, white guy in a blue suit, white guy in a blue suit. That's not a whole lot of change.
Looking Jasper Martis, Jasper, Democrat, kind of like the way I work, back and forth. And Matthew.
Okay. Doug Ford absolutely does not work back and forth.
Beerline, a Republican. From the great state of Michigan, and it is a great state, we do about $60.6 billion of trade back and forth. There's 140 Ontario companies that are based down in Michigan, 110 Michigan companies based here, and we're just discussing the situation between our two great countries. And I've always had the AMCAN Fortress, American-Canadian Fortress, making sure that we're the strongest, wealthiest, safest two jurisdictions in the entire world. And I just appreciate the relationship that we're building with our closest friends and allies. We're going to continue.
Because Doug Ford is establishing relationships with the states.
Building on that, making sure that
exactly.
As I was telling a gentleman here, I always believe in you can't unscramble an egg, you have to make the omelet larger.
Such a weird analogy. His analogies are so freaking weird.
Especially when it comes to the auto pack. But similar to Ontario, Michigan isn't just auto, it's very, very important. But it's everything from agriculture to food to manufacturing to tech. And it's just an incredible state to do business with. And I look forward to going down and paying all of them a visit. So that's what we had a conversation about. And I'll open it up to questions.
Red suit, blue tie would be fantastic. You can't unscramble an egg, you have to make the omelet larger.
Did you talk about the tariffs that, not the tariffs between the United States and Canada, the other tariffs with China, the 100% EV tariff? Prime Minister Carney is headed to Beijing. It sounds like he's in discussions with the Chinese government about lowering that tariff.
Matter.
For, canola concessions and other things. Are you worried about that?
I'm very concerned, and so are my friends in Michigan concerned. When you have China coming in at a low cost of EVs, is concerning. We as everyone knows, those parts go back and forth between Ontario and Michigan 7-8 times and get assembled in Michigan or get assembled here in Ontario. And when you have
I'm sorry, where do we have electric vehicle manufacturing companies? Is that a thing in Canada? Doug Ford is very obvious in the camp of we need to get back to normal. Yep. An economy completely dependent on the states. Exactly. We can't we can't go back to that. We can talk for a while about choosing China as somebody to partner with as far as the human rights stuff goes. But partnering with the states and the way that we have in the past is not doable.
The Chinese government wanting to dump cheap Chinese parts and cheap vehicles here, it costed Canadian and American jobs. So I'm absolutely 100% dead against this.
Lucky.
I have not talked to the Prime Minister. I will speak to him and tell him our concerns. And this is nothing against the folks in the canola business or soybean. We have a thriving soybean business here too.
It's not soybeans.
So it's not about them. I fully understand why.
Yeah, they used to, Morgan.
Premier,
That's right.
Mo is concerned, but he's protecting Saskatchewan. I'm protecting Ontario. The 500,000 jobs in the auto sector. That's what I'm focused on, and it works back and forth between Michigan and Ontario and many other states. So it would not be good for Ontario and Canada, and it sure the heck wouldn't be good for the U.S. and it wouldn't be good.
Exactly, Elemental. Manufacturing places, the ones he closed down and the ones that will magically appeared. Yeah, constructed, staffed, that doesn't just happen overnight.
When it comes to negotiating with President Trump.
Well, maybe we shouldn't only be negotiating with President Trump.
The other day, though, that if the Chinese automakers came in and invested in a plant, hired Ontarians, made products here, that you'd be open to that.
There's a difference there. You can't just dump cheap.
Which is what they said they wanted to do, I thought.
Vehicles here. If you want to open up a plant, and I'm not speaking to for our American friends or for the president, but if they're willing to come here, invest in a plant, just like GM, Stellantis, Ford, Volkswagen, Honda, Toyota, and come here.
Where's Toyota from, friend?
And manufacture and create jobs and create parts here, well, now we're on a whole different page. But if you want to just come here and dump vehicles that will hurt Americans and Canadian jobs, in my opinion, it's unacceptable.
But you haven't discussed this with Prime Minister.
Yeah, exactly. Honda and Toyota.
He knows how I feel.
Yeah, Toyota's
very clearly.
Japan. Yeah.
I'll be reaching out to him, and we're going to meet up in Ottawa with a COF meeting. So
a who meeting?
I'll express.
He's in China now, though.
I will.
I'm sorry, Elemental. I'm gonna get the captions loaded up soon. I promise. I keep forgetting.
I will reach out to him, and I'll text message him, and just tell him our concerns.
Do you know any Chinese companies doing what you're describing? Any Chinese companies who would invest in Ontario like that?
Well, we'll have to see. I'm going to sit down with the Prime Minister when he gets back, find out what the conversation is, and we'll go from there.
Very good.
The fact that Scott Bell is going to China with big plans, isn't that a pretty strong signal from the Prime Minister that he's looking to back down on EV tariffs in order to save another Canadian economy?
Well, Scott's one of my closest allies, and he's going.
Thank you, Morgan. Yes, this weekend. I'm going to fix the chat size on the screen because it is minuscule and get captions. That's my goal for the weekend, y'all. If I show up on Monday without those, you can give me crap.
There to protect jobs and canola jobs in Saskatchewan, as he should.
So then why are you not there to protect jobs and protect Ontario like you should?
I'm doing my job as Premier of Ontario to protect jobs here. So wouldn't it be great if we could protect all the jobs? But let's see what happens when they come back, and we'll have a conversation with both of them.
Speaking of other premiers,
yes.
Rob Camus is actually going to visit the Crown Royal Distillery facility today in support of what they're doing there. Have you spoken with him? Do you know what he's thinking at this point? And
I talk to Rob frequently. I just got off the phone with him.
I'm sure you did.
Probably an hour ago. He did tell me he's going up to the Crown Oil plant, and I told him, God bless him, he's doing his job. He's trying to protect jobs in Manitoba. I'm protecting jobs here in Ontario, and he respects that. I respect him. We have a phenomenal relationship. He invited me over to the Jets and Maple Leafs game. That's happening. By the way, he owes me probably a dinner at McDonald's because I won the last bet.
What? Oh my word, what a weird sentence. He owes me a dinner at McDonald's? Is Doug Ford trying to be Trump? Like, what the fuck?
And he wants me to come there and go to a game with him. But he's a fine gentleman, I'll tell you that.
Are you still planning on taking Crown Royal off the shelves?
As sure as I'm talking to you, that Crown Royal is coming off the shelves.
Premier, you've said many times that a lot of people from the U.S. of all stripes, including Republicans, agree with you that what Donald Trump is doing on the economy in Canada is hurtful, harmful. I wanted to ask you two if you agree, if you are one of them.
I kind of wish they would zoom out so we could see the faces of the Americans that are standing here. Yeah, exactly. What's this? BYD opens first Canadian bus assembly plant in Ontario, right? Yeah, Newmarket. It's the first new electric bus plant to open in Ontario in a generation. Yeah, people didn't vote in Ontario in the last election. The voter turnout there was low.
So we're here.
If you can go to the mic.
You know, we came here to reassure the Ontario government that Michigan is a friend and a partner, and we're going to continue to promote that trade back and forth. We tend to not get involved in national politics at the state level, and certainly don't speak for the president. But Michigan is a friend to Ontario and plans to always be a friend to Ontario.
Did Ontario's electricity surcharge and that threat hurt your relationship with Ontario at all?
Again, please.
Ontario and the Premier threatened to remove Ontario electricity from Michigan. There was a surcharge added for a day to your electrical supply. Did that hurt the relationship with Premier Ford at all?
I don't believe so. I mean, you're doing what you have to do to protect your economy, and we do what we need to protect ours.
Premier, Line 6
BS.
had non-stop problems, non-stop closures. Your transportation minister was asked earlier about it, but I wanted to get your take on it. Apparently the issue is the heaters used on the switches, they're electric, should have maybe been gas. It was the same problem that affected the...
Yeah, they don't get involved in national politics. That's also part of the reason why ICE is taking over so many states, is because the leaders of these states are not doing anything. Yeah, exactly, Raspel Atlantic, you are.
Ottawa LRT. What do you make about the non-stop issues with Line 6?
Well, I wouldn't say they're non-stop. You always have kinks in the rails. Excuse my pun there, but once they start moving, they'll start moving pretty smoothly. But I always
what a great fix. Once they're moving, they're moving.
rather than always talking about the negative, I like talking about the positive. As I was telling our friends from Michigan that we're building the largest transit system in North America. We have the Young Extension, the Eglinton West, the Eglinton Crosstown, which hopefully they'll announce early February. The Mississauga LRT, Hazel McCallion
Not everything's
line,
about
LRT,
Toronto.
and the Ontario line, of course. So I think they were pretty impressed that we're spending close to $80 billion when it comes to transit, another $30 billion when it comes to expanding our roads, and so it's there's always something that's going to go wrong at the beginning, but we're going to get it fixed like anything else.
Are you concerned about those same problems coming up on the Eglinton Crosstown, and is that why there's no opening date for Line 5 yet?
No, we're working with the TTC. They're the ones choosing the date, so I think it's going to be early in February. We'll be there, and they too. So the system's working. And when you try to make a transition that quickly, and then they decided to change the date when the pickup was, and yeah, I've never heard that. But anyways,
oh boy,
we're a good partner. I like the mayor, and we're going to continue working with the mayor.
Parents are really frustrated with the daycares being told by public health authorities right now, or last summer, that they can't use paper towel rolls and toilet paper rolls and egg cartons for arts and crafts for the kids. Do you think that's a little bit excessive?
I don't know who's telling them that. Why not? We grew up, use egg cartons, use whatever. I didn't hear that. I've never heard that. But anyways, isn't it great that we're trying to get the daycare down to $10 a day? But we have to get the federal government to pitch in now. We knew this was going to happen, but think of the money that people are saving now. It's at less than half the cost it was before. So, well, public health, they got to talk to the public health officer in Toronto. I don't know.
Yeah, saving.
Kids should be kids, right? We all grew up with the crayons and everything else, so I don't know what the problem is.
Premier, I have one final question.
No, final question.
The government's lawsuits related to Keel.
Yeah.
The Keel lawsuit shows that the government wants money back from the Skills Development Fund, but our reporting shows that the minister, David Piccini, overruled the staff concerns about funding for that company. Are you
sorry, he's not only taking credit for it, he's then blaming the government for not fully funding it in his province. True Doug Ford style. Okay, I have a couple more things. We've got just over an hour. I am going to take a really quick break and fill up my teacup. Everyone get up out of your chairs, do a great stretch. Get yourself something to drink, and I'll be back in just a couple minutes. All right. We are back. Yay, Neuropunk. I'm so glad that they're at least taking it seriously and they're going to provide you with a new fridge because, oh my goodness, that is a huge pain in the butt. Huge, huge, huge. Okay, one of the first things that we're going to do is we're going to watch this. Oh. I just saw this. Michelle Rumpel Garner is going to speak to reporters on immigration. That's going to end well. All right. This one. Hey, Official Squirrel Dad, welcome in, friends. Official Squirrel Dad is a fellow streamer. I got a notification in my email that someone named Official Squirrel Dad was following me, and I was like, who the heck? Turns out they were talking about me behind my back in the chat. Give Squirrel Dad a follow. I appreciate fellow content creators. And yeah, let's watch Bob Canoe do some positive things for Crown Royal, unlike Doug Ford. Y'all, did I mute it? I'm sorry. One day, I will run a stream where I don't forget to unmute anything.
Well, as you can see, they've rolled out the purple carpet. They rolled out the purple carpet here in Gimli, Manitoba, where Crown Royal employs tons of Canadians. We're talking about good-paying Canadian jobs.
Can I just say, Wob Canoe is like the happiest
our Canadian community here by producing Canadian whiskey, Crown Royal. So I'm here to show support for the workers here and to let the folks here in Gimli know that we got their back. And as a result, I'm calling on Premier Ford to stop his plan when it comes to LCBO taking Crown off the shelves. Now, we know that he's got his issues with Diageo, but here in Manitoba, we're very, very proud of this iconic Canadian brand that has been putting people to work in this community for many, many years. Just a few minutes ago, I was talking to one person who worked here at this plant for 50 years. Oh. That's not just a job, that's a career. And when we're talking about Canadian whiskey, it's not going anywhere. The stuff has to be made in Canada in order for this brand to remain viable. So I understand Premier Ford has his different priorities that he's working on, but when we're talking about Team Canada, we have to stay united across the provinces. And having a Team Canada approach can't mean targeting jobs in another province. So I'm encouraging Premier Ford to change his mind. I know he's done a lot of press conferences on this already, but coming to you from the place where Crown Royal puts food on the table for many Canadian families, I think it's the right move here.
Shots fired.
Sold in Ontario, the largest alcohol on the planet. What is the impact here?
Well, first I'll tell you about the impact that taking American booze off the shelves has had. This is one of the things Canada has done that the Trump administration has paid attention to. They're upset, they're worried, they're nervous about it, so it does have an impact. But right now, I just really want to take this opportunity to encourage my buddy Doug to just not follow through on what he's been saying. We recognize that he's doing his job for the people of Ontario, but the reality is that Ontarians are Canadians just like people here in Gimli. And these jobs here in Gimli are super, super important. When we're talking about Gimli, you got tourism, you got the hospital, you got Crown Royal. This is one of the big employers in town, and it has been for generations. So we need to see that support. So again, I called Premier Ford earlier today, And I just extended him that invitation. I said, you know what? The Leafs are playing the Jets this weekend.
There we go.
If you get on your plane and fly here, I'll buy the tickets to the Jets game. We can settle this thing, put a smile on the faces of people here in Gimli, and just put this episode behind us.
Doug Ford said this, started mentioning this in the fall.
He's trying so hard for this to be positive. Man, I appreciate that in a human being, especially with everything going on right now.
Yeah.
Why are you only coming out now? Was there some attempt at quiet diplomacy before, or were you holding your power?
I've been speaking to Premier Ford about this for a long time now, and we have seen him make his statements in public. I think more recently you've seen him start to reflect that, yeah, there is this operation here in Manitoba. There is an operation in Quebec as well, too. And so I think that's been very important. When he had his press conference, where before it was just speculation, but about a week or so ago, when he had the press conference saying that they were going to move ahead with the LCBO removal of Crown Royal, I was on the phone with him within the next few hours. And I made the case. I said, listen, Gimli, Manitoba is a community an hour north of Winnipeg where Crown Royal is a large employer. And you are going to hurt Canadian jobs. You're going to hurt Manitoba jobs if you follow through with this action. And so I've asked them to reconsider then. I asked them to reconsider again earlier today, and now publicly I'm doing that as well. We're in a unique moment. We're working together on Team Canada against the threat from Trump. So I'm not quick to try to escalate a trade war within Canada. And that's why I want to appeal to my buddy Doug, who I know is a good guy, to do the right thing here and ensure that we're supporting Canadian jobs in every region of the country.
Could you please answer Jeff's question, though, because...
Jeff?
Who's Jeff?
So what is the effect going to be on the provincial coffers and on the economy here if this continues?
If this continues, okay.
Awkward smile.
That's all hypothetical. There is no boycott right now. There's been an announcement by Premier Ford.
He really is trying.
At this interim moment, I want him to reconsider and do a 180 here.
So you're not concerned about the economic...
I'm here in Gimli because I'm standing up for people's jobs. I am concerned for people's jobs here. I spent, the time earlier today talking to the workers because this is about specific families in Gimli being able to put food on the table. This is about ensuring that the Interlake has a large employer.
I know his smile breathing's a little much.
You got people who live on farms nearby. You got people in surrounding communities who've grown up in Winnipeg and in the region, putting food on the table for their families. So this is a really important priority in terms of the economy.
Has Giorgio told you what the impact would be of a move like this for obviously not the plant here?
Also probably a little chilly.
Well, there is a significant bet. It's going to go into 2027. It's part of our Manitoba and Canadian. I think you should do the same. To do a work job because we're the government. Well, I'm optimistic that he will, and we're going to keep this maybe increasingly less quiet diplomacy.
Less quiet diplomacy.
But if I'm understanding you right, you're wondering, are we going to go tit for tat? Are we going to remove Ontario products from liquor mart shelves? And my answer there is no. Because then we'd be doing the thing that we don't think it's right for Doug Ford to do. We don't think it's right to take an action that's going to impact Canadian jobs in another province.
Good for him.
And so we're going to hold the line in terms of that being a value that we're committed to as Manitobans. And then we're going to continue to appeal to the province of Ontario's better nature and to say, we think you should do the same.
I like that he says the province of Ontario's better nature and not Doug Ford's better nature.
Continue to have your discussions with the parent company here all you want, but for the Manitoba workers, the jobs here in beautiful Gimli, Manitoba, we need you to continue doing business with us.
Can you make your statement en français, s'il vous plaît?
Ooh, he's going to speak French.
Comment est-ce qu'on dit whisky en français?
Whisky.
Whisky? OK, merci beaucoup. Alors, je suis ici à Gimli, Manitoba pour demander à Premier Ford de changer ses plans. Parce que ici, dans notre province, Crown Royal s'embauche beaucoup de monde. ça crée beaucoup et plein d'opportunités pour de longtemps. Je viens juste de parler à un homme qui était en train de travailler ici pour 50 ans. Alors ça nous démontre que c'est pas juste un emploi, c'est une carrière. Et pour...
His French isn't bad. All right, so that oh, he's such a breath of political fresh air. I completely agree. So that was the little like thing that Doug Ford was referencing. Oh yeah, he can go up and he can visit them, but you know, this is going to affect Manitoba, and Wampcanoe is not going to take that lying down. However, he is also not going to act in the same way that Doug Ford has and cut off Ontario workers. I'm just going to peek and see if this is happening right now. Shall we have a moment for the door stream? Let's have a quiet moment for the door stream. For those of you that don't know, who weren't around in the Steve Boots era, we quite often would watch these sort of press conferences that would happen outside of question period. Whoa, sorry, I deleted a comment there. Yes, you do. I still have all the emotes from Steve, but yeah, exactly. And we used to sit and watch the doors, specifically when we were waiting for Justin Trudeau to step down. We spent a lot of time watching doors, for better or for worse. All right, this is gonna be not great.
It's nice to be back. Happy New Year.
There's no subtitles. CPAC have them. Oh.
Canadian government data confirms this trend. In recent months...
They do not, unfortunately. All right, let's see.
2026 is already being marked by several crises that are rapidly destroying Canada's once strong immigration consensus. If Canada is to have any hope of continuing to be a welcoming country, it's incumbent upon the federal Liberal government to take swift, decisive action to address several problems, which are largely attributable to a decade of Liberal policy failures. And so today, in my role as Shadow Minister for Immigration, ahead of the resumption of the House of Commons, I'm calling upon the Liberals to undertake a series of swift policy actions to address three looming crises to restore order, fairness, and compassion to Canada's immigration system.
All right. How long before she makes an incredibly incorrect racist comment? I mean, she kind of has already, but how long do you think? She's about to list the three problems. How long is it going to take her to be incredibly incorrect and also racist? 30 seconds, yeah? Half a sentence? Also fair. First point. All right, let's see.
These actions build upon the comprehensive suite of policy proposals that Conservatives announced last fall. The first crisis. Millions of people in Canada are currently on expired or soon to expire temporary visas. The Liberals have no credible plan to remove them while simultaneously inviting hundreds of thousands more temporary residents into the country.
So, is she calling for ICE to be formed in Canada? What sort of policy is she asking them to enact to remove these people? Yeah, even CPAC is done with her.
Millions of people are now residing in Canada with temporary permits that have expired or will expire this year, and many are unwilling to leave. This incredible circumstance is a direct result of the Liberals issuing massive, unsustainable numbers of temporary resident permits in a very short period of time. Adding to the severity of this crisis are 500,000 undocumented persons in the country. Compounding this issue is last year's immigration levels plan, where the Liberals announced that they are going to issue hundreds of thousands more temporary permits in 2026. The Liberals predicated these levels on the assumption that millions of people with expired or expiring visas will leave. This isn't fair to anyone. Undocumented persons are forced to work on a black market for labor, while Canadians are facing an acute housing shortage, a healthcare system failure, and youth jobs crisis. If the Liberals bring in hundreds of thousands of more temporary residents without a credible plan to remove millions of people who no longer have a legal reason to be in the country, these problems will only worsen. That the Liberals are ignoring this reality through their policy choices is both uncompassionate and disturbing. Making the challenge of resolving this crisis worse, the Liberals did not implement an exit tracking system prior to inviting millions of
an exit tracking system? Give me a break. Yeah, official Squirrel Dad, we do have a policy here that even though that specific politician is determined to eradicate our fellow trans non-binary human beings, we are not going to stoop to their level and dead name anybody. The rest of your point is absolutely correct, but yeah, we don't dead name anybody.
Temporary residents to the country.
You can say lots of things about her without it.
The asylum system
She's
to
a
reduce
horrible
the
person.
incentives for people with expiring visas to abuse the system in order to stay in Canada.
Abuse the
On this
system.
matter, our call to action is this. In order for Canada to rebuild its consensus for immigration, the law must be enforced. Temporary has to mean temporary. So Conservatives call upon the Liberal government to table a plan by the end of this month to tell Canadians how they plan to enforce existing Canadian law and get millions of people with expiring visas to leave Canada this year.
Oh my Lanta, she's actually going to call for a task force. I'm waiting for the words task force, or committee.
Crisis number 2. Tens of thousands.
Is it going to be crime? Is it going to be crime?
Thousands of new illegal border crossers are making asylum claims, while truly persecuted persons in Canada are being left in limbo. In December of 2025, Canada's pending asylum claims reached an unprecedented 300,000 cases, many from
task force committee
entering Canada from the United States. This is up from less than 10,000 in 2015.
Hold on. Hold.
Unprecedented 300,000 cases, many from illegal border crossers entering Canada from the United States.
And why is that? Why do you think people might be leaving the United States to come to Canada? You know?
This is up from less than 10,000 in 2015. To put that in perspective, under the Liberal government, Canada's asylum backlog now exceeds the population of a city like Windsor, Ontario. Worse, most people who make a claim can now expect to remain in Canada for many years prior to their claim being examined and are eligible for generous social benefits while their claim is pending.
Oh no, not the social benefits. Not the social benefits. Oh my word. You know what the answer to this is? More public service workers who are able to go through. If this is the actual concern that they get to just stay here, maybe we need to hire more people to work on those documents and to go through those documents. You know, not kick them out.
This failure is the result of a decade of liberal policies that have encouraged the abuse of our system, straining housing, healthcare, and the job market while eroding public support for controlled immigration.
Oh boy.
And this backlog is about to get a lot worse.
Why is that?
Up to 350,000 Haitian nationals currently in the United States face termination of their temporary protected status effective February 3rd, 2026.
Okay.
Temporary protected status is an American program that temporarily prevents people without legal status in the United States from deportation during crises in their home country. Said differently, the United States has ordered that about 350,000 Haitian nationals without legal status must now return home. This matters to Canada because many will attempt to enter our country illegally in order to avoid removal. History shows that this is...
Where is your proof of that?
The pattern.
Word.
When Haitians in the United States first faced temporary protected status revocation nearly a decade ago, Canada experienced a major increase in illegal crossings and asylum claims. Canadian government data confirms this trend. In recent months, despite the Safe Third Country Agreement, the formal arrangements where refugees can only make a claim in the first country they arrive in, thousands of Haitians have crossed illegally into Canada and filed asylum claims after having been found to have no legal reason to be in the United States. From 2017 to 2024, about 40,000 Haitians made such claims in Canada, and in last year alone, nearly 12,000 did so. This number is likely to further surge after February 3rd, precisely at a time when Canada has extremely limited capacity or frankly social willingness to process and provide support to tens of thousands of new asylum claimants who have likely already had their claims rejected in the U.S. This wave of potential new arrivals raises humanitarian, security, and infrastructure concerns. Many are attempting to enter Canada during frigid winter weather. Without strong deterrence, there will be more dangerous winter crossings attempted, as well as human trafficking, as seen in recent RCMP arrests and the interception of a U-Haul with 44 suspected Haitian trafficking victims. The Liberal government...
Okay, but that's not the fault of the Haitian people that were trafficked.
Has deemed the United States a safe third country. That is, if someone reaches the United States, they are obligated to make an asylum claim there and are subsequently ineligible to file a claim in Canada. However, the Liberal government has failed to close a major loophole in the Safe Third Country Agreement. An overly broad definition of family allows illegal crossers to claim asylum if they have relatives in Canada, and this includes spouses, common law partners.
Not the spouses. Imagine trying to immigrate to a country where your spouse is. The horrors.
Partners, children of any age, parents, siblings, grandparents, grandchildren, aunts, uncles, nieces, and nephews, even if those family members only have pending asylum claims themselves. This enables chains of potentially bogus asylum claims.
Oh, this is making me angry.
Amid prolonged processing and rare removals. Furthermore, the Liberal government has shown reluctance to crack down on human traffickers who profit off of illegally transporting people across the border, or to adopt conservative proposals that would reform social benefits that may incentivize bogus asylum claimants. When combined with prolonged processing delays, these benefits serve as incentives to make bogus applications. The existing backlog, already enormous, will only grow larger, further straining Canada's welfare resources, housing, and healthcare systems that should prioritize Canadians and genuine refugees. This is not compassionate or fair to anyone. I realize that this is a difficult topic, but it is an urgent matter that the government must address. For example, the Liberals have broken promises to persecuted groups who are already in Canada, such as those from Ukraine, Hong Kong, and Sudan, leaving them in limbo while prioritizing resources for illegal crossers who may have questionable claims. This is wrong. Canada has a finite capacity to provide support, shelter, and protection to vulnerable persons.
Right, Ninja? The fear tactics. I'm sure her third point is going to be crime. The fear tactics are so aggressive.
The Liberals should be prioritizing truly protected persons as opposed to making space for bogus asylum claimants. So our call to action on this issue is as follows. Conservatives will use the upcoming parliamentary session to restore order and fairness to Canada's broken asylum system by continuing to champion the suite of asylum system reforms we introduced as amendments to Bill C-12. And if illegal border crossers numbers continues to surge, call on the Liberals to examine the potential preemptive use of Section 20.1 of the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act to uphold the spirit of the Safe Third Country Agreement and designate certain nationals crossing illegally from the U.S. as an irregular group arrival, triggering measures that would deter mass winter crossings and human trafficking.
Yeah, exactly. With the member for Calgary Nose Hill, please define bogus. Thanks, Morgan. I'll add it in.
And potentially save lives. Push for the Liberals to rigorously enforce Sections 117 through 121 of the Immigration Refugee Protection Act, which impose severe penalties on traffickers, including fines, imprisonment, and deportation bans. Calling on the Liberals to seek urgent cooperation with the United States to close the family loophole in the Safe Third Country Agreement by narrowing the definition.
I do not understand why you would want to close the family loophole. Like, she just doesn't want people to be able to bring their spouses? Or children?
To match Canada's definition, which is standard for family class, which is spouses, common law or conjugal partners, dependent children generally under the age of 22, parents and grandparents.
Don't bring those children over. Don't do it. Bogus.
We will also call for the Liberals, importantly, to honor commitments to persecuted groups already in Canada by pausing the acceptance of new government-assisted refugees and reallocating those spots to eligible individuals already in Canada from Ukraine, Hong Kong, and Sudan. And the last crisis.
Here we go.
Non-citizens convicted of serious crimes.
There it is. I knew it was going to be crime. I knew it was going to be crime. Ugh.
Sentences in order to allow them to avoid deportation. Almost every week, another high-profile incident comes to light.
Hold on. Did she say that refugees are committing crimes to stay in Canada?
Convicted of serious crimes are being given lenient sentences in order to allow them to avoid deportation. Almost every week, another high-profile incident comes to light of a non-citizen convicted of serious crimes getting a lenient sentence and avoiding deportation.
Give me a break.
In the last 2 months alone, we've seen stories about a truck driver who recklessly killed a 23-year-old Caledon woman who got 55 days in jail. A man convicted of child porn possession, or child sexual abuse material, who knew it was a crime when he watched it, was given leniency as the judge gave him 6 months less a day, which the judge explicitly said was to avoid immigration consequences.
Maybe because people have a heart? That is the judge's decision. Yeah. Almost every week citation needed, right? Again, this is like official Squirrel Dad said, this is all doom and gloom, trying to paint them as these super dangerous criminals trying to sneak into Canada.
A man who pleaded guilty to abducting a 9-year-old boy he didn't know awaits sentencing after asking for 6 months less a day to avoid immigration consequences. This situation is perpetuating a two-tier justice system in Canada wherein non-citizens are treated differently than Canadian citizens.
Oh my word.
This is causing the rapid erosion of Canada's consensus on immigration, as well as it is unfair to Canadian victims of crime. Therefore,
oh my goodness. It's unfair to Canadian victims of crime. Yeah, exactly, Elemental. What about the white-collar ones that don't get appropriate justice?
Where we call upon the Liberals to rapidly pass Bill C-20, my bill to end the practice of giving non-citizens convicted of serious crimes leniency and sentencing in order to help them avoid deportation. In the upcoming session, Conservatives will continue to pressure the Liberals to pass common sense policies we proposed last fall, as well as to take the action that we've outlined today. Thank you.
Gross.
Court of Appeal ruled today that the Liberal government did not have reasonable grounds 4 years ago to quell the protests. I'm just wondering if I can get your reaction to that, please.
Oh yeah, they officially ruled that in 2022, when the convoy happened, that the what did they use? Said it, I think.
Court of Appeal ruled today that the Liberal government did not have reasonable grounds 4 years ago to quell the protests. I'm just wondering if I can get your reaction to that, please.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you know, it gives me an opportunity to emphasize how wrong that the use of the Emergencies Act was, and I think how it undermined Canadians' trust that the government would uphold Canadian civil liberties. So, you know, I think that's I think a question for the government is what this means for them, and certainly it was a sad day for Canadians when that happened.
It really wasn't.
During the leadership race, Mark Carney was saying that the biggest threat to Canada was China. Today he signed, and yesterday he signed a bunch of deals with China. How do you see that two speaking both sides of his mouth, maybe some people might say?
Well, my party leader, Conservative Party leader Pierre Poilievre, put out a strong statement on that earlier today. I direct your attention to that. And I'll just reemphasize a point that he made, which is what you just said. You know, in less than a year ago, Mark Carney said that the biggest threat to Canadian security was China. And today we have him trying to do business with them, and frankly, without delivering any auto sector jobs. So it's concerning.
Could that endanger our relationship with the United States?
You know, I think at this particular moment, Canadians need to hear from the Liberal government what they're going to do to protect Canadian sovereignty writ large, both from an economic perspective, protecting Canadian jobs, removing regulations that have prevented the development of Canada's energy sector, as well as like some low-hanging fruit, things like implementing the foreign agent registry, addressing issues like, you know, regime police stations operating in major Canadian cities.
Oh man, there is another conspiracy theory. This is the statement that Polyev put out an hour ago. Prime Minister Carney must explain how he has gone from saying China was Canada's biggest security threat before the election to announcing a strategic partnership with Beijing after the election. I hate that this GIF is the first one, that's why I'm putting it down. His agreement will allow 50,000 EVs on our streets, jeopardizing our security and auto jobs. What does not? No, they invoked the Chinese government is running all of the cops conspiracy. This follows him breaking his promise to negotiate a win and get a deal with the US, maybe because the US isn't going to make any deals right now. Despite giving $1 billion taxpayer loan for Beijing to build our ships, there's no guarantee that tariffs on canola and other Canadian goods will be permanently, immediately, or completely eliminated. What? Meanwhile, Canadian pork farmers will keep paying the 25% tariff. Yeah, exactly, Squirrel Dad. They only get their news from Eboch Times, right? Hey, it's Peacefire Now. Friends, if you are not following Peacefire Now, please fix that. Great fellow Canadian... Oh, it didn't like that. Mons, can we get a shout out for Peacefire Now, please? Great fellow Canadian content creator. Somebody that I really appreciate watching when I can. Someone that likes to focus on some of the positivity and also has a great insight and focus on things happening in the Middle East. Yeah, make sure you're giving him a follow if you are not already following. It's time for Canadians to have a government that will put our country first and protect our security, our jobs, and our sovereignty. Yeah, 50,000 EVs on our street like they're criminals running around. Well, you know, Pierre Poilievre doesn't understand how electricity works. Right? He's pulling lightning bolts from the sky, so maybe he's just concerned that these cars are going to be run by lightning bolts. And that's what's scaring him about them. Who knows?
So I think Mr. Carney has a lot of answers.
Would you want to run into a Chinese EV in a dark alley?
And again, I'm proud of our party leader's response to that particular comment.
Oh, man. I can hear the voice in my head.
Since the Harper government's first electoral win, how do you think about that election? What has changed in Canada since then, and what's changed in your party?
Well, I feel old. No, I'm serious. I have to be somewhat comical because you get to a point in your life where you think something happened a couple of years ago.
Guardian EVs.
Like, oh, no, that was 20 years ago, and I still have that blazer in my closet. In all seriousness,
did she say?
In a couple of years ago, and you're like, whoa, no, that was 20 years ago, and I still have that blazer in my closet. In all seriousness,
I don't know.
You know,
World Ad.
At the end of 2015, Canada was on a trajectory where our per capita GDP growth, or the capacity for people to, you know,
all right,
grow their prosperity.
I don't know that we need to keep listening to her, to be completely honest. Couple of things out of, no, it's not personal prosperity. Couple of things out of Nova Scotia. Our dear friend Tim Houston is not doing so well, as it turns out. They just released their budget, I believe. And the Nova Scotia deficit is now at $1.4 billion. Thanks, Peacefire Now. I appreciate that, friend. I appreciate you. 1 month after an update from his finance minister, That showed Nova Scotia's budget deficit is on track to hit 1.3. Reporters, or Tim Houston told reporters on Thursday the number continues to climb. It's a big number. Something I'm concerned about. I appreciate it, official squirrel dad. Yeah, and when asked about it, the interim Liberal leader, Ian Rankin, said Houston's government is running substantial deficits in a way that's become normal practice. You missed our little door stream. We had a little mini one before she came out, before Michelle Rumpel-Garner came out. Sorry, you guys are being funny. I appreciate you. The door remote is being revived. I have the file. Yes. Opposition politicians say that Nova Scotians are not better off despite record increases in government spending, but have pushed the provincial debt to new levels. Auditor General Kim Adair released her 2025 financial report and accounting of the government's financial position. None of the numbers are new, but opposition members say seeing those numbers in a clear and concise way should give the public pause about the performance of Premier Tim Houston's government. So yeah, not great things happening over in Nova Scotia as far as the budget, etc. goes. Let's see. Let's watch something funny. How many of you guys watch the show The Pit? You guys watch that TV show? Have you heard about it? The medical drama. I've heard it's one of the more accurate medical dramas as far as accuracy of how things actually run in an ER. And I believe the whole first season is a day or a night. So it basically just follows a whole shift, I think. Is that right? I could be wrong. Anyway, somewhere in Alberta is getting a big push because why would I watch that when I can watch Star Trek? I love you, Lucky. A specific place in Alberta was mentioned on the show on their first episode of season 2.
Nestled at the foot of the Rocky Mountains is Head Smashed in Buffalo Jump. The historical indigenous site showcases exhibits, trails, and lookout points of where the Blackfoot people use their knowledge of buffalo behavior to kill their prey for food.
We pride ourselves on being stewards of a sacred site. Bring more understanding of what the southern Alberta landscape has to offer.
The site, located west of Fort Macleod, was peppered into some dialogue between two ER doctors on the season 2 premiere of HBO Max's show, The Pit.
Where are you going? Head smashed in Buffalo Jump.
Captain Crunch flying squirrel socks.
Are we talking in code or are you having a stroke?
Are you having a stroke? So good. I love that. One more time.
Head smashed in Buffalo Jump.
Captain Crunch flying squirrel socks.
Are we talking in code or are you having a stroke? It's an Aboriginal UNESCO heritage site in Alberta.
We had no idea. It was a pleasant surprise.
It's unclear how the writers ended up featuring Head Smashed in Buffalo Jump for Noah Wile's character, Dr. Michael Rabinovich's script, but was centered around discussion of taking a sabbatical. However, that scene that aired last week has sparked a flurry of visitors to the park.
We watched The Pit. We love it. It's a great show. Big fans of ER, big fans of Noah Wile. Complete reference out of the blue. Got us really excited, so we came down for the day and check it out. We've had them all. It's awesome.
Travel Alberta has also featured the scene in a recent video. The Pit recently won several Golden Globes, including Best TV Series for Drama. Now, staff of the world-famous site are hopeful the international attention draws out even more curious travelers. Tyson Fedor, CTV News, near Fort Macleod.
I love that a lot. Some positive news out of Alberta is always appreciated.
Because you're going on a trip. Take a sabbatical. Leave tonight.
Where are you going?
Head smashed in Buffalo Jump.
Captain Crunch flying squirrel socks.
Are we talking in code or are you having a stroke? It's an Aboriginal UNESCO heritage site in Alberta. I've never seen the Badlands. We should go on a trip.
Very cool. Did you know we have flying squirrels in Alberta? I didn't know that they were in Alberta. I know flying squirrels exist. I didn't realize we had them here. Yeah, I guess I never realized head smash and buffalo jump wouldn't be something widely known worldwide. Yeah. I just thought that was a cool little like thing to put in before I quickly talk through before I quickly talk through our news from Alberta, because the news from Alberta is not great. 100 sign Alberta separation petition in Red Deer. Oh no, not hundreds. Right? Lucky said he saw somewhere it was thousands. But hundreds of Central Albertans signed a citizen-initiated referendum petition. About 1,500 people waited in a long lineup at Festival Hall to sign the petition at the Alberta Prosperity Project Alberta Independence Town Hall. That's a name. Has there ever been good news from Alberta? Very rarely. Very rarely. So I like to highlight the little moments like that where I'm like, look, something cool in Alberta was featured on a TV show, and it's a UNESCO heritage site, and it's a good thing because now we're gonna talk about this. We're really tired of getting the crappy end of the stick, said Brandy Bowman, petition supporter. We work really hard and we're taxed so heavily. We don't, you know whose problem that is? It's not. We don't get to keep the money we work for. We've got to go pay everybody else in the East, and we're sick of it. We had a referendum on equalization payments, and 61% wanted it gone, but that never happened. Says the province with no sales tax. Exactly, Guernsey. Yeah. We're tired of no one caring about us. Quebec wanted to leave, and everyone said, "We love you, please don't go." But when Alberta talks about it, you can't even imagine what we're being called and how poorly we're being treated. There is the best preserved Ankylosaurus found in Alberta. You can ask Morgan all about it. We saw it. The proposed question is, do you agree that the province of Alberta should cease to be a part of Canada to become an independent state? And then they had to sign. You know. So instead of listening to them talk about it, shall we listen to our dear friend Lisa B talk about it? Because we love her. She's so great. Oh, come on, YouTube. There's no audio. Come on. Yeah, you did, Morgan. It was a great moment.
Not just
right there. Vapor also cried. Yeah. Yeah, we love Lisa.
Because Black Hat Guy had to go and... The separatists are having a tough time. No, not just because Black Hat Guy had to go in front of the Law Society. Yeah, I took it from the Western Standard. Because I like it when they eat their faces. I mean, you can go to the Law Society website to see what the allegations are. Threaten criminal charges to benefit a client against a member of the federal and provincial government, including then Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, because of course...
Jeffrey R.W. Rath was threatening criminal charges, including for murder, in an attempt to gain a benefit for a client, and that such conduct is deserving of sanctions. The ALS alleges that Rath, while looking to prevent the COVID-19 vaccines from being rolled out to children, threatened criminal charges against members of the federal and provincial government, including then Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and Premier Jason Kenney.
And campaign. Also, there was no client. Misrepresentation. Allegedly. Because you know it had to do with COVID. As part of the allegation, he said, in writing, if any child is either harmed with this product or alternatively dies from the injection of this product, all legal options will be pursued against the recipients of this letter, including the filing of criminal charges, including premeditated murder. So dramatic.
Oh my word.
It's also alleged that he corresponded with somebody who he ought to have known had representation, and that is deserving of sanction. He reached out to Verna Yu. You remember Verna? She was the CEO of AHS. At some point, there have been so many. And then the last one is that he communicated in an unprofessional tone. I'm shocked. He admitted to that one. The lad didn't need to be dealt with at the hearing. But that's not the only reason the separatists are having a bad day. These people have had their locations canceled for their independence talk. And then Black Hat Guy had to come out and say that those people are conducting unauthorized events and will not necessarily have approved canvassers at any locations they appearing. They appearing? Jesus fucking Christ. This is the guy you're putting your faith in to separate. But what's funny about those people, here's one of them. The Royal Canadian Legion canceled our Castor event on January 15th. Wah. The Canadian Brew House said that they weren't involved in any of this, and they've canceled the event.
Shout out to the Canadian Brew House, by the way, because I saw them brought up a couple of times when I was looking through Alberta news. People are pissed. Well, the separatists are pissed that the Canadian Brew House refuses to let them host one of their separatist events there.
The Canadian Brew House said that they weren't involved in any of this, and they've canceled the event.
It's in the name!
They wanted to have an Alberta independence talk at a Royal Canadian Legion and the Canadian Brew House. You literally wanted to have talks about separating from Canada at establishments that have Canadian in their fucking names.
Oh, it just, it writes itself. And I was like, I could do lots of reporting on this. I could talk through the articles, but Lisa is just so good at succinctly presenting what's happening.
You goddamn turn-ups. What the actual fuck? People who have served in the military fought for Canada. They didn't just fight for Alberta. And the Canadian Brew House, well, it's in its fucking name. It's not the Alberta Brew House. But other places have canceled too.
I love her.
Because they don't want to promote these fucking turn-ups.
There's an event that was going to happen in Leduc, and the organizer had previously donated a large amount to the then NDP candidates. They reached out, and it was never approved by the people. Amazing. I do too, Wonder.
So I don't know if Black Hat Guy is trying to get away from those people, but maybe don't hold separation events at establishments with Canada in their fucking names. I mean, Black Hat Guy's mad about it. Canadian Brew House, all caps.
Oh my word. Let's change the name to Alberta Brew House. Give me it. Great.
Won't let us talk about Alberta independence in their establishment. The fuck, man? You can't make this shit up. Maybe you'll find a place, Black Hat Guy, where they appearing. You fucking idiots.
I know. I love. Oh, hello. Then this is something that she does very well, is using inanimate objects to talk about people. I just find it to be so funny. Just so that everybody knows, those of you that are still here, in about 15 minutes or so, we're going to rate out to Rachel Gilmore because she is going to be interviewing Avi Lewis on her show today, which is fantastic. There's absolutely American influences in the separatist movement. Do they know the Canadian Brew House has non-Alberta locations? I don't know. Maybe. Speaking of Berta, how many people in this chat know who Berta Proud Dad is? Those of you that were around for the convoy have probably heard his name hundreds of times. He is probably one of my least favorite humans that is on the planet. Danielle Smith retweeted something that he posted because that's a good connection to have. I'll just give you a small example of who Berta Proud Dad is. Let's see. Here, let's do this one.
Tons of support on us releasing that video. It's been picked up by a lot of people. And video, right?
Oh, no, this is about what we're going to talk about. Hold on. Let me find something else.
Partnership sets us up well for the new world order.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Mark Carney, that guy, just said the quiet part out loud. For years, we've been talking about a new world order. We've been talking about how it's going to be a one world government, how governments aren't really going to work for the citizens, they're going to work for each other. And Mark Carney goes to China, and now we're talking about new world order.
Yeah. So before I start this, this is the response of the school. It has come to our attention that a recording snippet out of context content in one of our classes has been shared online and will likely be the subject of a social media influencers podcast. Our school name has been used. Our school and school division are aware and have engaged the necessary steps and staff at this point. This email is for your awareness. Should you come across any of this online through any avenues, please do not engage with it. If students and parents ask for info from you, please simply direct them to me. All right, so this is, oh, I know. Yeah, Berta Proud Dad merch. Yeah, there was a huge thing about him and hats during the convoy. I think that was him, or he was charging like $250 for a hat. Ridiculous. This is exclusive classroom audio where an Alberta teacher at St. Andre Bessette Catholic School caught on tape swearing, belittling conservatives and promoting the Alberta NDP, and mocking people who work in our energy sector in front of students. This, I haven't heard the clip, but this is something that Danielle Smith felt the need to retweet. Hold on, you guys probably can't hear. I'm going to turn it up. Hopefully it doesn't blow your ears.
Your entire society is built on fuck. Trudeau, sticker, oil pipelines. Now you bad, I good. Angry. Okay, but you can't control your entire society with anger. Me not angry if me rich. Okay, cool. So we're going to give you jobs. Oh, okay. What kind of jobs? I know. What kind of jobs do you want? Oil jobs. Now.
I mean, so far, is he wrong?
That's perfect back. Perfect. Now, if you're like, but I think maybe for Murray should think about solar panels. Ah! They blow up. Okay, ironically, I did drive my electric car from Fort Mac once. I got a couple compliments.
I drove my electric car through Fort Mac. That's clever.
And then I didn't park outside because I was scared of getting hit by a truck. But the idea is...
I was scared of getting hit by a truck.
Like, they are conservative. And you walk up there and you're like, I think you guys should consider other possibilities of political parties. And they're like, but there is no other political parties. But yeah, there's the NDP and the Green Party.
Also, can I say that this clip is only 30 more seconds? This thing said it was profanity-laced tirade. The only profanity that he said was the fuck Trudeau stickers. Who made the fuck Trudeau stickers? I'll tell you one person who promoted them a lot. Berta Proud Dad.
And the Liberals, they're like, but you could maybe like, but they just don't. I grew up in Bonneville.
I grew up in Bonneville. Oh dear. That is, yeah.
All right, like literally Bonneville. My mother, just for jokes, my mother's kind of a little hipster lady, put an NDP sign, a federal NDP sign, in her yard in Bonneville. Her sign, she timed it last 30. I'm like,
yeah,
okay,
unintelligible. Sorry.
Maybe like, they just don't. I grew up in Bonneville. All right, like literally Bonneville. My mother, just for jokes, my mother's kind of a little hipster lady, put an NDP sign, a federal NDP sign, in her yard in Bonneville. Her sign.
Notice that the only unintelligible part of this is that people ruined her sign.
She timed it last 30.
That's it. That's his whole inappropriate, profanity-laced tirade about conservatives. That's it. That's all of it. That is this damning clip that came out from this school. That's it. All it is. Oh, yeah. And then the whole conspiracy about, you know, if you allow people to be identified by different genders and the kids are going to act like they're animals and claim, like, just that conspiracy theory BS. Like,
Us releasing that video, it's been picked up by a lot of people. And there's people that are upset, clearly. But here's the thing. We're used to this by now when we release something that exposes the left, that they claim victim to it. They're going to call it satire. They're going to call it out of context.
Yeah, satire is a very good word for what you just listened to.
Before we even released the video, the principal caught wind that there was going to be a video and put out a statement to the staff that said, this was out of context. Don't engage with the video. Right? Getting ahead of it. That's what that is. So they knew there was already going to be a problem.
Yeah.
They already knew it.
Because you posted about it on your social media.
They were doing. There's stories coming out of this school now that they encourage the students.
He had to write a feminist paper so he could get a good mark. Imagine. Imagine having to write about feminists. The horrors. They pressured kids to walk out when the teachers went back to work. Nobody pressured the kids. Nobody pressured the kids. Yeah, blessings, a classic leftist email sign off. This is the Catholic school, by the way. My son stayed home that day so he wasn't targeted. Give me a...
To walk out during the teacher strike. Politically motivated that teacher strike. Politically charged those students. There's parents getting in my DMs and saying thank you for doing what we did. Because they had no clue. And there's some upset students out there. Rightfully so. And when I get the comments from them...
Did we listen to the same audio?
It's no different than me getting comments from a liberal that is 30 years old. So we know what they're involved in. We've shown you proof, the teachers that are teaching them, and how we are against this. I don't want any religion. I don't want any politics.
Oh my goodness. Hello, friend. How are you? So good to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh my goodness. That made my heart happy to see your name. Hello.
I don't want any sexuality being taught in schools. That's the whole point.
I'm so sorry that this is your first introduction to a stream is watching this guy. Oh, don't apologize, friend. I know you're busy.
We want that canceled. All of it. I'm sure, I'm almost positive, when that teacher taught about liberals, he put a nose ring in, he put a Queers for Palestine poster up, and he put a blue wig on and said, hi, I'm a liberal.
I want to dye my hair blue so badly. You know, I live in small town Alberta where, you know, I would get pointed at so quickly. But I said this yesterday, the blue hair thing is so old. Can we please get a different thing to look at? I wish I had enough hair left to be worth dyeing. I'm sorry, friend. I had bright red hair for a while. I had pink hair for a while. Just haven't done the blue-haired liberal thing.
We know he didn't do that. We know he didn't do that. This was an attack on conservatism.
Oh boy.
To the vulnerable, to say that conservatives were bad. That's all this was. And today, their narrative is, it was out of context and it was satire. And he's the victim. I don't think so.
I do.
Did we just become best friends? Yup.
Hey. Thanks, Kiwi. Can everyone respond? They can't hear me. So can everyone just respond to Kiwi with hearts? They won't know why because they're in class or working. But,
Do it, lady.
Hey, there's a little hype train. Thanks, Kiwi. But can we respond to Kiwi with hearts just for fun? Because they won't have any idea why. I don't think we can. Or maybe like this. It's gonna not work now. There we go. Just because sometimes people need a little bit of extra love in their life. I like the pink, purple, fuchsia because honestly, the people I want to be around know that people are not okay with my hair. Yeah, I love. Elemental sent me a picture of their hair before. It is fantastic. I love the colors you have in your hair. There's many seniors in Huntsville that dye their hair blue. Incredible. Make it a sub goal. Ooh, Peacefire now. That's actually not a terrible idea. Maybe we'll do that. February is my birthday month. So maybe we'll do that as a sub goal for February. Is if you get to a certain number of subs, I'll dye my hair blue. That's a good idea. Thank you, Thank you, Peacefire now. We know you can't hear me, so we decided to send you some extra love. Amazing. All right. We've got about 5 minutes. I'm gonna check quickly if our dear friend Rachel Gilmore is live. I don't think she is yet. I don't have a notification, but as soon as she is, we're gonna raid over there so that we can watch her interview Ave Lewis. The only other thing that I had for today was to watch a press conference from Danielle Smith. I don't think anybody here wants to watch a press conference from Danielle Smith or the American Conservatives, the Alberta Conservatives. It's essentially their response to the ER doctors calling for a state of emergency. Yeah, which is ridiculous. But yeah, I appreciate all of you for hanging out today. I am not going to lie. I had to delete my entire live yesterday because I was a dummy. And flashed my address during stream. So I was a little bit bummed yesterday, but yeah. Rachel made a video about Rob Ashton using AI. For half a second, Plain Power, I thought you meant Rachel Gilmore, and I was like, what do you mean? It's just more gaslighting. It's basically just saying, like, people ask, like, what would be your threshold for saying that you need to call a state of emergency considering where the hospitals are at? And they just got no responses whatsoever. Sometimes it is important, but I never want to hear her talk. No, I don't either. I really don't. Yes, Peacefire now. I said this yesterday. Maybe in the next couple minutes while we wait for Rachel to start her live, I'll say this again. I talked to somebody who is actively working on the Rob Ashton campaign, and this is what happened with the AI. They had a senior staff member and Rob that were answering the questions on Reddit, and they had a couple of other staff members doing research on things like stat numbers, dates, things like that. Because when you're answering hundreds of questions, sometimes, you know, it's nice to have another person being like, they're like, oh, I want to bring up this. When did that happen? And they can present the dates and the whatever. What happened is the people that were doing that were supposed to send any answers to Rob Ashton and the senior staff member, and they did not. Instead, they decided to use their AI-generated responses to respond to comments on the Reddit themselves. So it wasn't Rob Ashton using AI. It was one of his staff. And when asked, that staff member specifically said, I didn't use AI, I used an LLM. Which, you know, is not the same thing. Yeah. One staff member torpedoing his campaign. And because there hasn't been a whole lot of really big drama moments during this campaign, CBC lashed onto it because there hasn't really been anything else to talk about. So, yeah, I haven't watched Rachel's video. I don't know what she has heard, but from talking to a senior member of Rob Ashton's campaign, that's what happened. Oh no, that's totally fine, Peacefair. I brought it up yesterday in the Discord because somebody was asking about it, and I was like, I'm going to keep repeating it. I think you guys know I have brought it before. I really like Rob Ashton, So when he put out the attack ad on Ave Lewis and this, I really want to figure out why. And I hope that I give the other candidates just as much grace when and if stuff like this happens to them too. But yeah, they are very starved for drama with the leadership race. I am going to quickly check in with Rachel here. Don't think she's live yet. Yeah, same. Speaking of the Rachel Veda sister stream clip from the other day. Oh, awesome. Hello, editor Chris. I was just, well, not just, I talked about you at the beginning of stream. I was talking about how YouTube is incredibly difficult to be monetized on. However, you did a fabulous job with Steve and now with Rachel in making that happen. So, yeah, she's not live yet. Let's see. Joins me on Bubble Pop today at 2 p.m. Eastern. It's 2 p.m. Eastern right now, right? I'm not completely wrong in my time zone. Yeah, it's 2. Okay. She's just running a couple minutes behind. That's fine. That music on in the background. There we go. Maybe instead of concentrating on drama, they could, I don't know, give people information. Imagine if that was their goal. Thanks, Squirrel Dad. Because yeah, I don't know if I raid to her right now, if you guys will just get left in the ether, or if it'll drop you into her chat. Yes, the drama does get all the clicks. For sure. Another thing that you guys can do is pop into Lisa's chat and say hello from me. All the views and all the clicks. Yup. Come on, Rachel. But yeah, a couple of new people today, which is super exciting. Official Squirrel Dad, I hope you enjoyed your first visit to the newly named House Hippo Commons. I am considering, this is what I'll do. I'm considering a name change. I've talked about this before, but I feel like as someone who wants to cover left-leaning politics, having tyrannical in my name is a bit of a weird thing. And so I'm debating, oh, there she is. I'm debating between, I saw it, Mrs. Maypole or just Mrs. May. She just started her intro, so I will start the raid. Chief Hippo Minister? Yeah. Okay, I did this last time, where I went to raid to her, and then I didn't do the, the right Rachel Gilmore. Rachel _ Thank you all for being here. I super appreciate spending this time with you this morning. Enjoy the conversation between Rachel and Ave Lewis. And I will talk to everybody Monday, probably. Take care, everyone. Goodbye.